I think that people are enjoying the hack pitches a little bit too much in the future stage right now. So thank you for being here at the main stage. Feel free to come forward and bring it in, and I'm sure that the panel will have some questions for you. I'd like to welcome to the stage now Danny Kessler, who is chairman of Unbound and a managing partner of an investment fund, and his panel, Building Mena Innovation Ecosystems. Please put your hands together for Danny and his panel. Thank you very much.
One, two, one, two.
Testing.
Thank you. Right, we have this massive audience now to entertain. So please take your seats. This is going to be a very interesting forum of discussion. Best end is the fan end. Absolutely, good strategic positioning. And that's something which we're going to be talking about now. So please feel free to ask any questions from a Q&A point of view from the audience. We want to make this as interactive as possible. We appreciate you coming out. We know it's a little bit warmer than maybe we'd like, but we opened the sides, we've got the fans going, and hopefully now in a post-lunch forum this should be very interesting. So what we're looking at is the landscape of the current innovation ecosystem here in Bahrain and the Mena region. And we just want to get a feel for what the building blocks are, what everyone, my erstwhile colleagues here, think about that. And maybe, if you wouldn't mind, just give me a quick introduction, just very briefly, of each of yourselves, and then we can get on to the detail.
Hi, my name is Hassan Haider. I'm a partner at 500 Startups, which is a Silicon Valley-based VC fund. We launched in the Middle East and North Africa fund last year, and we're the most active fund in the region, which has been pretty cool. Yeah, and so we're active investors across the regional ecosystems here.
Thank you.
Hello, hi, my name is Mena. I am the Bahrain Community Director for CoLab Bahrain, a new co-working space that's going to be set up very soon and launched very soon as well.
My name is Mohammed Tawash. I wear many hats, but what's more relevant to here, it's I'm the founder and chairman of CH9 as an accelerator, being set 2 years ago here in Bahrain, and affiliation along with many accelerators around, as well as I'm the co-founder of Unbound, the MENA Business Engine Network, which is an integral chapter part of EBAN, the European Business Engine Network.
Thank you. So let's start with, what do you think are the right foundations for this region to build an innovation ecosystem? Maybe we can start with yourself.
Yeah, sure. So an ecosystem is a set of different aspects that need to be all done in balance, right? So there's no one thing that really needs to be focused on in order to build the entire ecosystem. I think there's a variety of different aspects that need to be worked on. Probably the most important one is funding for startups. Although the Middle East has a lot of wealth, there's a lot of family offices and stuff, but there's not really much that's available for startups at the early stages. Sure, when they get to a stage where private equity players are interested, there's a lot of funding available then, but at the early stages, there's really not much funding. There's not much angel activity here in the region. And that's probably an integral factor is getting investors to be more interested in the ecosystem. The other factor really is the quality and education that's available to the startups, both in terms of the quality of the talent base. So some markets within the MENA region have amazing programmers, developers, UX, UI. Some have none, and so there's an imbalance. But even with, when you look region-wide, there's still not enough talent that's being trained. And then, so that's sort of related to the startups. And then even after that, there's not the right level of advice that's given to startups. A lot of the people that are coming out as entrepreneurship experts haven't really gone through the first cycle of building a startup and exiting and coming out back with that sort of mindset. So there's a lot of, yes, there's a lot of advice that shouldn't really be given that's being given. And the last aspect, I think, is really the government. There's a lot of aspects where the government needs to be a supporting actor, like maybe helping with the funding by having fund-to-funds programs and co-investment programs for angel investors and things like that. So that's an active supporting role that the government can play. And then the other one was a more passive role, is removing a lot of the obstacles for startups to get started. It's removing the red tape around getting a license to operate, removing the red tape around employing people, around opening a bank account, and all this sort of stuff. So there's actually a lot of work that needs to be done. Like, I'm not saying that there hasn't been a lot of work that's been done. It's phenomenal where the ecosystem has come in the last 10 years since I've been operating in it. But still, there's a lot left to be done. But I think a lot of it relates to the right level of support and the right level of funding that's available to startups, as well as the right talent that's available out there. So
that's very interesting. So would you look at any examples in the MENA region where you take those different elements and say, that's a great example of this? So you might have the EDB is supporting people in Bahrain, guys are doing stuff in Oman, etc. What would you point to as the positive successes that should be learned from?
So I always look at things from a very cynical perspective.
I never noticed that.
Yeah. So actually, there's a few interesting programs. There's the Lebanese example of what they've done to encourage sort of investment activity and venture capital there. It's called Circular 331 by the Lebanese Central Bank, which essentially provides a guarantee to financial institutions if they participate in venture capital funds or invest in startups directly. And so that led to about $400 million in new venture capital in that market alone, which is phenomenal. Like, that's more than it's available across most of the rest of the region.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but the downside is you have to only invest in Lebanese founders in Lebanon. There's not as much deal flow to absorb all of that funding, and so that was probably one of the downsides of that program. So, and that's actually something that's pretty common across most of the markets. You'll see examples that have been great, but there's always one thing, and that thing is usually very protectionist for their own country and their own people, which doesn't make sense when you're like trying to encourage a startup ecosystem, because you're trying to attract the best talent wherever they're from, whatever their background is, to come and set up a business in your country. It doesn't matter if they're locals or not. As long as they're actually benefiting your GDP, that's what you should be focused on. And so that's a weakness across a lot of the examples that you can see across the region. But yeah, that's one.
Thank you. Maybe if I could open up that question to yourself as well.
Well, actually, I'd like to add on to what Hassan said in the first part of the question when it comes to the foundations for an innovative ecosystem. The thing is, I think one of the most important things that Hassan touched upon was the support that's available. And I think the MENA region has, and especially Bahrain, has evolved a lot over the years in terms of offering that support. But I think we also need to go back to the seeds of innovation, because innovation is a nice flashy word, right? But then, okay, what do we need to do in order to build that culture of innovation? So I think obviously all players in the market, whether it's the government or the private sector, playing a role in creating that platform for innovation. So if we talk about, I'm going to talk about the co-working aspect of things. So offering that platform where people can come in together, that culture of strangers collaborating, brainstorming, coming up with ideas, thinking of what problems does this country have and how we can really solve them together. That kind of culture is more of what all of the MENA region probably would need to focus on a little bit more. So yeah, that's what I would say.
That's very useful. The shared working space certainly has made a huge difference, and I'm sure will be a massive catalyst as well. Maybe if I could pass the question on to your good self.
The question in regards to innovation and creativity is a very sensitive issue when it comes to the ecosystem. You could set 100 companies call them as a startup. You could set 100 accelerator as well as a co-working space, but it will remain just physical. But the community and the ecosystem has to be fit for creative and creativity and innovation. Our R&D here in the region is to the lowest compared to the rest of the world in terms of budget, in terms of what's being spent in each and every university, because that's where the innovation and creativity will come out. And I remember very well when we set up CH9 as an accelerator, it's just a physical space. We cannot create the innovation and creativity on it. So we need partners. We need someone who could implement certain model in regards to, is it an AI, is it a 3D, is it so and so, which will enhance that creativity, which will enhance that innovation base. But looking at the environment, I mean, if I'm just narrow myself into the Gulf rather than the MENA region or the Middle East, there isn't much innovation and creativity came out. And even the companies that had succeeded in exit and succeeded in scaling up as started as startups, there isn't any innovation and creativity in those companies. If I allow myself, and I know this is being filmed right now, and just listing those companies, Talabat is one of them, which is bought by Rocket Internet. It's just a copy of something else. Kareem, they're my client. I love them. They love me. They're my accelerator. But they're just a copy of Uber and others. Yahoo, which has been bought, Maktub, which has been bought by Yahoo, which nobody anymore hear about it, is just a copy of something else. So there isn't any today a company that has succeeded in scaling up in the Gulf which brought an innovation and creativity. And I remember very well when we set up CH9 2 years ago, I went all the way to Boston, where I used to live there for 8 years, and I went to CIC, which is today the biggest incubators in the world out of Kendall Square. And I've talked to Andrew, I've said, like, the Arab doesn't like to rock the boat, so why don't you come and just manage our accelerator and make it a mini of what CIC today in Kendall Square. So he said, great. So he threw a contract to me, $1 million, and I'm going to manage it for you. So I say, well, would you come and look at what you're going to do here in Bahrain and our accelerator? So he came in and he says, like, is there any university similar to MIT in your vicinity? I said, not even 0.001% within 1,000 miles. And then he says, like, is this where your accelerator is considered to be like similar to Kendall Square, which is the most innovative, creative in technology? I said, not even 0.001 as well. He said, then I cannot operate. I just cannot operate in an environment that does not access and sustain into creative and innovation. And the government comes as well with a very silly, I'm not here to criticize, but to just put a comments in the government schemes, something called, or somehow called, insurance against employment, which is التأمين ضد التعطل. So someone sit at home, does not have a job, does not have a level of a good education, and the government will pay him 150 dinar, it's a 300 euro. So the guy is sitting at home without doing anything, he's getting 300 euro, he's not going to be needing to go and innovate and create, and he's going to be just leveraging and depending in that 300 euro he's getting at the end of each and every month. So it started in Bahrain, it's across Saudi and Oman as well, but those kind of schemes does not help by any chance the creative and innovation.
Well, thank you for those insights. So we understand the problem, and education clearly is a very important component of that. But what is the solution in your view? Obviously, overhauling the educational system is something which takes a time, it can take a generation. But whilst we're in the current state, how do we get to produce original unicorns in this region?
Solution. Why don't you start with Hassan with that?
Because you identified the problem in such an articulate fashion.
True. Solution in that regards, I mean, what we are doing in a much later stage now, it's just been a month that we started a progress with the universities. We started with the universities in terms of give us an access to your students as an accelerator, and we will be conducting for them in-campus boot camps of 3-4 days, of giving them certain tools and in regards to innovate and create, right? And then we brought something, in our opinion, is something that we were not capable to do, that U Startup, which is 15 accelerator around the world, they've been doing it for a few years, which is a 1001 idea. What are these 1001 ideas? They list of an idea, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in fintech, in blockchain, e-commerce, marketplace. And these ideas, they give it, not with just idea, it's a full, complete business plan. They give it to the student to debate it, to think about it, and to put it in a perspective of a company as a startup. So that's a very tiny bit of a solution, in my opinion, to infuse the creative and innovation. That is something that we brought from outside rather than we've grained it out from our own field.
Thank you. That's very interesting. Hassan, do you want to speak to that as well?
Yes, but unfortunately I disagree.
We encourage that.
So the thing is that what is the definition of innovation? What's the definition of startups? Like, what should you be investing in? When you look at things that have been successful around the world, like Uber, the most valuable private sector company, there's no real technology there. Like, they innovated the execution of an idea. They didn't really come up with something completely new in terms of IP or anything like that. Airbnb, which is also quite valuable, is purely a marketplace application. Like, there's nothing really technologically there. It's all about execution. And so for me, I don't care. Like, honestly speaking, if there's IP or not, it doesn't really matter to me. Is the team able to execute? Are they able to actually acquire users, customers, and grow a business? And so the whole IP, uniqueness of ideas, new ideas that come out of the region, I'll actually go against what I said a bit earlier. But anyway, it doesn't matter that much. Having said that, there's actually a lot of IP that's being generated in universities across the GCC, across the Middle East. And hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on researchers and PhD people in KAUST, in other universities, and other entities.
Can you give some examples?
Like KAUST, basically, which is in the King Abdullah University for Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. They've imported amazing PhD talents, and they have amongst the highest data bank of IP in the world. KFUPM in Saudi Arabia as well has, I think it was ranked in the top 10 universities in terms of the number of basically IP that was granted to the university. And so there's a lot that's actually happening. The issue isn't that it's not happening. The issue is in the commercialization of these ideas.
Thank you. So I will just refer to the KFUPM, for example. Dr. Ansari was here in this seat as well. They have 3,200 IP that has been registered over the years. KFUPM, it is the King Fahd University for Petroleum and Mineral. All our ministers in between Saudi and Bahrain, by the way, they graduated from KFUPM, by the way. So it is ranked as high as you can imagine. But none of those IPs has been commercialized.
Yeah. So it's not the lack of IP. It's not the lack of actual new ideas, fresh ideas coming out of the region. It's the commercialization of those that's the issue. So actually, it goes back to my initial thing. It doesn't matter if there's IP or not. It's the execution that matters more. And so that's what we look for when we're investing. Whether there's IP, no IP, it doesn't matter that much. And yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so let's talk about, because I think this is a good, healthy debate. That's what we're here to do. And it'd be interesting to hear your views in a moment as well. But so, what are those opportunities now and in the future, do you think?
So adding to what the gentleman have said, obviously there's, Bahrain and the MENA region has started taking the right steps into supporting these innovative ideas. But the thing is, with more integration among all of these institutions, that's where, when we talk about commercialization, implementation, we can have more of those once there's more integration between these different organizations. So let's say if a university today comes up with a concept, and I can give an example of, let's say, Polytechnic. If you look at their ICT faculty, they have brilliant solutions, they have brilliant concepts. But again, it comes down to, okay, the legal structure in terms of how are these commercialized, what happens next. So if, for example, that university kind of collaborates with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce and Tourism and sort of put a framework of how do these projects sort of organically grow from universities to be implemented, and then organizations like EDB, like Bahrain Development Bank, like other organizations in the private sector as well contribute to making these businesses a success story. So I think it's if we take it one by one and each project goes through the whole cycle with integration of all the organizations, that would be really necessary for the future, I would think.
That makes a lot of sense. What more can we do to help startups here?
I think it's more toward commercialization, as well as in the university. I got invited, like my email is full of invitation for career day in each and every university. Career day is gone. It is not anymore sustained. Universities, I'll give you an example. In Israel, for example, they do not have a career progression department anymore. They have a commercialization department. They do not have a career day. They have a commercialization day where they bring everybody with the 90 billion VC funds, which they integrate in the universities as well. So it is an idea, and you were just referring to the Polytechnic. We had a boot camp within the Bahrain Startup Week, and we got 18 participants. That was on Sunday and Monday, full day from 9 to 9. And the winner was a lady. She's 20 years old. Her name is Jenna. She come up with something in the Polytechnic, in the university, with the talkable mirror. So you leverage your iPhone, and you look at this mirror and it gives you the review and everything that is related to it. And she has done this for like 4 or 5 months. It's a great product. Yeah, there is faults, but within the commercialization of that product in a full acceleration program, that product will be innovative enough to come out from university, which is a senior project, probably thesis, into a commercialization phase. But the student itself, he has to have the willingness. It is not just to have the willingness in regards, at the end of the day, I'm going to work for a government, I'll get my salary at the end of the month, and that's going to be comforting me. Setting up a startup is a pain. It's a pain in a way that the entrepreneurs will suffer. It is not an easy ride that each and everyone does not get a job, will go and set in a startup and set a company. It is not that way. It is something that you will suffer for 3 years. Either you succeed or either you bankrupted and close down and you start something else.
So in the absence of what I think you're describing as something being born of necessity, having that disposition where you just have to make it work because there's no safety net, in the absence of that, because I don't think we're going to change government policy very quickly here today, unless, of course, you're...
You see, right now, I mean, we will be blessed if you're going to do another Unbound next month, because there will be the bankruptcy law probably being implemented and announced, because we badly need a bankruptcy law in here. It is going to spread over in the Gulf as well, but we do not have it yet over here. So any of those startups has a company, and for 3 years it just didn't work, and he just need to shut it down. He'll go to jail because he has signed up a check for the funding that he got from the bank. But with that bankruptcy law, that man will be saved. He will be probably getting accepted by a woman who wants to be married with, right? But right now, an entrepreneur and a startup has no future when it comes to winding out a failure, and which is very common. I failed 20 times in my life in setting up companies, and all of us has.
Only 20?
20. I failed 20 times. I counted them by the company and each and every one, but I succeeded three times, and even listing those companies in a stock market, in a stock exchange with an exit. But that was real estate. That was the easiest ever part of a sector that anybody could be in. Not technology, not ideas, not innovation. There are no innovation in real estate, honestly. So that was the easy part of it. Getting into an accelerator with the startups, and I see those, I call them kids rather than entrepreneurs. Each of them wanted to do a solution, wanted to do something out of the box in a way of innovation and creativity. Those of what the government of Bahrain, what the EDB has worked out so hard in Startup Bahrain of putting the 6 pillars. And those 6 pillars, it is the community, it is the legal platform regulation, it is the corporate partners, and there are another 3, I can't remember even. But those 6 pillars which has really made the ecosystem, many of them are missing. The corporate partners are missing, by the way, the funding are missing, the legal, we're almost there, I would say 90%. But once all those are putting all together, there will be the innovation and creativity from many of those kids come out.
Thank you. It's a fascinating insight, particularly into the bankruptcy law, which I wasn't familiar with. And that comes in next month, you say?
That's what we've been promised.
Okay, we'll keep a watching brief on that. But let's talk about the corporate ventures side, which you touched upon, because one of the success stories we tend to see is when there is the link, obviously, as you say, from a very early stage between the corporate ventures and then the educational establishments, commercializing, monetizing, allowing people the environment to fail. Do you feel the corporates in this region are sufficiently supportive and the trajectory is sufficiently positive, or you think, Hassan, a lot more has to be done in that area?
No, there's a lot that needs to be done. Corporates have historically not engaged with the startup ecosystem in this region. They have a very different mindset in general, that if a startup's doing something, they're just two guys doing this, we can just pay someone in India to develop the same thing and crush them. So there hasn't been this mindset of, okay, these guys have a passion for this idea, they seem to have the right talent and everything, let's invest in them, let's acquire them, or let's partner with them and use their product and service in-house. So that's really, so we usually advise corporates to think in those three manners. Like, when you're interacting with startups, don't do like some kind of innovation theater and put your logo everywhere, and don't really, no real engagement with the startups, just like talk and nothing really happens. That happens a lot. What I want to see is corporates actually engaging with startups and it becoming a core aspect of the way that they operate as an organization. In the region, we've started to see some emerge. So Amar, for instance, they've started to look at investing and acquiring startups and integrating startups into their technologies, into their day-to-day business. You're seeing Majid Al Fatlaim as well. Actually, Al Tayyar Group in Saudi Arabia, they're one of the largest travel agencies in the region. What they did is they acquired Musafir.com, and now that accounts for about 30% of their revenues. It was an online travel agency, accounts for 30% of their revenues. And so because of that, and they invested in Careem pretty early on, which has done pretty well for them, they've actually just released their strategy report, and they're completely changing the way they think about everything. It's like, we need to be investing and supporting startups because that's the future and that's the generation. But there's not a lot of these corporates around. There's probably only 5 or 6. And so I'd like to see more of that happen. But one of the other things that I think we have as an obstacle is exits, right? So the most exits in the US and other markets around the world are M&As, they're acquisitions, someone buying the talent, the team, or the product, or the market that they're going into. We don't really have that mindset here. So not just in tech and startups, but even in more traditional industries, there's like 1,000 tiny insurance agencies all around the region that really shouldn't be insurance companies by themselves. There should be more cooperation and integration and acquisitions and mergers in order for there to be a large company, but there just isn't that incentive in the region. So I think that's something we need to work on.
That's a cultural reason, or a factor of the regulatory environment, or a bit of both?
I think it's mostly a cultural reason, because there isn't really any sort of tax here in the region that's you know, there's a tax benefit to staying alone and all these sort of things. It's mostly cultural things, like I own an insurance company, so I will continue to own an insurance company. Okay, it's small, but it's okay, it's mine. It's now no one else's. So I think it's stupid. I think what we need to see is that mindset shift, not just in startups, but in general. Like, there's global businesses that can be built if the mindset is region-wide. We have 350, 400 million people speaking the same language across the Arab world. Similar cultures. You know, it's more of an integrated market than you have in like Southeast Asia. But the Southeast Asian startups are able to say, we're a Southeast Asia startup, we're in Thailand, we're in Singapore, we're in Indonesia. Each of those markets has different languages, different cultures, different everything. We're more integrated, and yet we're not having these discussions of, let's build global level companies, forget about startups, global level companies, by acquiring and merging and building something big. It's just not in the mindset.
I'd actually like to add something to Hassan's point, is that when we come to the mindset, it's not only, I mean, when we talk about the corporates, their huge budgets are going to, foreign companies that come in and they spend all this money on, a consultant from abroad that doesn't really understand how the ecosystem works, what the country needs, and all of that. So it's just more of the risk tolerance and actual patience to kind of work with a startup that's just getting there, and maybe that, someone that just holds their hand and kind of communicates, like the middleman, I would say. And when we talk about the culture aspect of things, if you look at more mature economies, like in the States or Europe, you'd see that the society itself is engaged in the whole entrepreneurship ecosystem. So you'd find individuals, like everybody sitting around here, one way or the other is contributing or supporting a nonprofit or starting a nonprofit or a community initiative that supports the SMEs. So it's not up to a specific organization to do that, but rather the whole society is engaged in it. And that makes it way stronger, a way stronger ecosystem, I would say. Even the startups themselves, the entrepreneurs, they feel like the community is backing them up. It's everyone's obligation to sort of contribute in a way. Obviously, that is a real opportunity for us to kind of develop the social aspect, the social contribution to things, but also how are these social initiatives regulated and monitored and all of that. So if today someone says, okay, I have money and I want to bring other rich people and just sort of invest into businesses in an informal social setting, obviously that needs to be regulated. So how is that going to be regulated? That's the next step that the ecosystem needs to also look into. Yeah.
Thank you. So would you say there is a different set of characteristics to a MENA startup investor than to another global investor? From your experience, obviously, in the States and elsewhere, is it a different investor for a startup investor in this region?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, the asset class is something that of a high regards in terms of the collaterals as well. I mean, to continue with their comments in that, I've raised probably $2.5 billion in the real estate verge, and I failed to raise $5 million for a VC. And with a very reputed VC fund out from Europe, a couple of years ago when we set up CH9, and we wanted to raise $5 million for a VC, purely VC, but I failed. I failed miserably, my partner failed miserably, because each and every client that we knocked the door to as a corporates, they're not ready to take that risk. The global VC return is what, 4%, 5%? They've been spoiled with other asset class. Private equity make way much more than this. And then you've got those corporate who willing, or family conglomerates as well, who's willing to go and take the risk rather than to go in LPGP structure. So they will be sitting their own family, somehow private office, little fund, they want to invest in startups and technology. But what they don't understand, that they need a $10 million to burn and 5 years to learn to achieve that goal and to reach in there. So instead of doing that, you've just to go and put hand to hands with an existing VC, whether it's in here or outside. There isn't much VC. There are few out from Dubai, which they've done quite good, but it's not the, extraordinary achievement, in my opinion, because they have an issue with the exit again. So in that perspective, I think the corporate has been back away from that, and with all the encouragement that government do, regulators do, but still the corporates are not ready really to get into this game because of simply they don't understand it, or they are not up to the certain risk that is associated with. There is one example in here because, and it takes time to conclude, which is Al-Waha Fund, if you heard about it. I don't know whether the Bahrain Development Bank has talked about it or not. Al-Waha Fund, the fund which has been foreheaded and being came out by the chairman of Bahrain Development Board, which is the CEO, Khalid Al-Rumayhi of Economic Development Board, is a $100 million fund of fund. This is what China has done 20 years ago. Is a $100 million fund of fund, syndicated by many partners as well, and they will be investing 10% in each and every VC that's coming to Bahrain and domicile their fund in Bahrain within the Central Bank of Bahrain as a regulator. So within that fund of fund, there will be $100 million, not necessarily going to be invested in Bahrain, but will create the ecosystem for the VCs in here in Bahrain, with many of them willing to partner with Al-Waha Fund for that mutual understanding or mutual benefits as well.
Thank you. So had you raised the money, and I wish you every success in doing it next time, because I'm sure it will happen, it's just a moment in time, would you have been able to deploy the money? Are there enough opportunities now to deploy that money in this region? I know it's not a huge quantum of funds, but was that part of the issue?
I'll refer you to, is it in the region? I mean, what are you talking about, Mena or?
Mena. So you were going to raise 5 million. You were looking to deploy it, I assume, into early stage businesses. Would you have had enough candidate companies?
Why do you want to restrict me to the region? I can set up a VC over here, put a 20% in the region over here, and the rest is going to be just internationally. So because you've got to do the basket. Otherwise,
yeah, I'm looking because you'll differentiate yourself, I assume, with the region, but maybe that isn't the right way to categorize it. Hassan.
So the answer is yes. Thankfully, I was able to raise a fund for the region, focused on the region. And in the last year, we've done 40 investments. We have deployed about $5 or $6 million.
Excellent.
So yes, because I've done it.
Can you talk, maybe it'd be very interesting for us to understand, are they in particular verticals? Is it quite diverse? It'd be very interesting to give the audience a sense of what those current opportunities are as an investor and also as a recipient, as a startup.
So it's pretty broad. And that's sort of our thesis as well. We're not focused on any sector or segment, and that's 500 Startups thesis globally as well. The benefit I have is that I'm part of a much bigger thing. It's, our headquarters are in Silicon Valley, but we have about people on the ground in about 20 different countries. So I can compare myself and our region to what happened in Southeast Asia 2-3 years ago. We're sort of following that same path. India, like 2 or 3 years ago as well, same sort of development of local investors, international investors, the different stages of funding and everything that's happening. And so when you look overall, you're like, there's great opportunity in almost every segment in the region because there just is so little that's been done online. The way I like to think about the things we're focusing on is probably in 3 different buckets. It's a nice little thing. One is in commerce. So there's a lot to be done to enable commerce to take place online. E-commerce sites, marketplaces, B2B sort of services, logistics services, payment services, anything that enables you to transact online, there's still a huge, massive opportunity there. People think souk.com is there and all these sort of things, but there's loads of niches, there's lots of areas, lots of verticals where souk isn't operating. There's a lot of things like secondhand marketplaces, mobile first, like there's just a ton to be done there. And people are hungry for that. They want to transact online. The second thing is content. Arabic language content only accounts for about 2% of the content online. 7% of the world speaks Arabic. So there's a mismatch there. But in addition to that, in terms of what real value there is, the Saudis are the #1 per capita users of YouTube in the world. Saudi Arabia is top 10 usage of Twitter, Facebook, social media of any kind. Like, they absorb content, but there isn't enough content being developed. And so that's a massive opportunity. Within that, you also have, so there's a lot of different things. So there's video content, audio content, books and written content, there's education, there's games, there's a lot of different things within that content sort of field. And then the third one really is frontier tech. So I think that's probably where we have invested in startups which are coming up with really innovative things out of the region that have global application. I hate like using the letters and the words because it just like grains against me. When a startup says blockchain, I just like get turned off. Or AI, I'm just like, you're not really doing AI.
Correct.
But this is that bucket. So there's a lot of globally sort of relevant innovation that's happening in the region. It's not a massive bucket, but there is a lot of it. And so we are actively investing in those. We've done probably 5 or 6 already in the last year. So yeah, there's a lot.
Great. Well, I look forward to the next Unbound to hearing that's trebled.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens
I
there.
hope so. Sorry, please.
I'll add to that in regard to your query in earlier. Yeah, there is enough, as what Hassan mentioned, Dealflow and companies here in the region, and they come across with a unique proposition as well. But again, you have to look at the evaluation. We've been looking at what the entrepreneurs, the owner of the company, seeking as an evaluation is way much higher than other part of the world, by the way, especially Saudi. They go way much higher of their expectation rather than what is internationally recognized. But of course, I mean, when we did see this, and it's rising up so high in terms of the deal flow, in terms of number of startups. When we did see the Star Gulf back in 2016, we received 45 applications from the Gulf, and we brought into the competition 11. In 2017, we received 150 applications. So from 40 applications to 150 applications, which they fulfilled the criteria. So it is rising up. In 2018, I'm sure I'll be receiving probably 200, 250. So it is coming up so high in terms of number of startups are setting up.
Yeah, so on the valuation thing, I ignore what the startups tell me. I literally ignore it. I'm like, oh, you think you're worth 10 million? Whatever. Let me actually figure it out. Here's a term sheet for $2 million. You either take it or you don't. It's up to you. And usually they take it because there's no, unless they find an idiot, which some of them do, most real investors will not make those investments because they understand what the next round is going to be, and you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. Like, it's the stupidest thing. Most Series A deals in the region are happening between $5 to $10 million in pre-money valuation. So if you're investing in a seed stage business at a $10 million valuation, what are you doing? And so there's a lot of idiots, and they emerged last year, and they've been giving stupid valuations to startups. They're going to get their fingers burnt this year because those startups are going to start running out of money within the next few months, and they're going to realize the mistake that they did, and they're not going to do that again. So I think that's a learning curve that these people had to go through in order for them to come back and realize exactly what's going to go on. I'm not saying that there won't be new idiots that will emerge to take over those roles, but I think it'll be an education sort of cycle here in the region.
It's a culture again in terms of evaluation. I was laughing, like, I mean, looking at an evaluation of a company out from Jeddah. And when I look at it, it is very common that a startup has his personal assets into the company and he value it. So he has 2 Ferraris in the car, in the company, and he's valuing it as a part of the company assets, and he's using it as well. So, and this is very common, by the way, in the Gulf. You find a personal assets within a startup's overall P&L.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just that there's a mismatch. A lot of startups, they look at basically, in Silicon Valley, this startup has raised this much money at this valuation. I'm like, great, go to Silicon Valley. See if you can raise that money. Happy if you do, but you're not in Silicon Valley. You're here in the region. You're operating in a regional sort of market, which still has not developed to this stage of Silicon Valley. The later stage funding isn't available. The valuations that you want at later stages aren't there. So you're essentially shooting yourself in the foot. There's a couple of startups that we went along. We did slightly higher valuations than we thought they should have been in because we thought it was an interesting thing, and there's going to be a year for them to grow into the valuation. And they weren't able to do it. And now they're going to do a down round. It's not good for them.
Well, we've got 2 minutes left. So if you can just give me, if there's one point you're each going to make of where we're going to be in a year's time and where we're going to be in 5 years' time, if you could just very quickly give your summary of that in 1 minute each for the MENA region based on what we've kind of identified as the dynamics in play.
Sure. So my main targets for this year are 3 things. I don't like doing predictions. I like to see what I'm going to work on. One of them is building out a broader LP base for the venture capital community as a whole. Al-Waha Fund was essentially something that I told Khalid about 2 years ago, and since then we've been working on it. I've advised 2 other fund of funds in the region, and I want to advise more corporates to get involved and more family offices to get involved into venture capital as an asset class. So that's one of my targets for this year. Second target is to find a local jurisdiction that makes sense for us to invest in as investors and as startups. Because there isn't one. Like as a VC, we're having to ask our regional startups to reincorporate in BVI and other markets to make sure we have the protections that we need. And so I want to find an onshore jurisdiction that supports startups and investors to make sure that we have the right protections in place. And I think that's probably a very likely scenario for this year. There's a couple of entities we're talking to that hopefully we'll be able to execute. And the third target for this year is increasing M&A activity. Either the M aspect or the A aspect, either one, it's fine. I think we're probably looking at a couple of mergers from even within our portfolio that might take place, because we're fine investing in competitors and now they're talking to each other, which is great. And I think there'll be a lot more acquisitions starting to emerge maybe towards the end of this year. There's a lot of interest coming in from Asian investors, from Chinese investors, to invest in startups that are at $100 million or plus. And we're going to see more of those startups emerge to those valuations towards the end of this year, I think. And we might start seeing more acquisitions there.
Thank you.
I would say that probably starting with the 1 year up to the 5 year duration, more of investment into the scaling up of startups. So the country has invested a lot into, and the region, into creating that startup community. But what's next? So when the startup is into business, okay, 3 years, 5 years down the line, what are they going to do next? How are they going to scale up? So if we talk about Bahrain, for instance, scaling up is a big way forward. And I believe that the country will be focusing on that, and that's something that all the players in the ecosystem will be contributing to. So creating export channels, knowledge exchange with the region and the international community are other things that I think would be focused on in the future.
I guess as in the level of CH9 and Unbound, I'll leave the funding to Hassan. That's the tough part, by the way. But in our capacity, we will be raising in education and science and whatsoever more startups that we could accelerate them. We could as well scale them up. Scale them up doesn't necessarily to be here. We could do it with each and every partners that we've got, whether it's in Asia or in Europe or wherever it is. But sooner or later, we'll change the theme of Startup Bahrain to Scale Up Bahrain.
Well, I'd just like to thank my very interesting panel members. I think it's been a fascinating discussion, certainly given me some really interesting insights. And thank you in the heat and just in a post-lunch session. And thank you to you. Please, a round of applause for the panelists.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Danny. And the Mena ecosystem panel. Thank you. So, we have had throughout these 2 days a number of interviews with successful founders who are sharing their tips and tricks for success and have some interesting stories to tell us. Ali from Social Media Club has been chairing these sessions for the past 2 days, but he's had to run off, so you've got me. I'd like to welcome to the stage Guillaume Bouvard of Dual Networks. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much, Guillaume. Thank you. So, you are an entrepreneur in Bahrain.
I am.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your journey and how you came to be here in Bahrain?
I think journey is the right term.
You can't keep away.
I became an entrepreneur it was not set to be. I was 18 years old. My father had told me I had to work in banks. I'm Swiss. Obviously, that was the right path to follow. And I met a guy at that bank who was also a younger like me, and we were doing internship. And he was telling me about selling websites. That was back in 1997, I think. And but he was a very poor salesman. He was really, really bad at it. He was good at designing stuff and coding, but he was extremely bad at selling stuff. And so he basically told me, "You join me. It's working. And if you find any customers, then I'll do the websites for them." So now you have to go back in time. 96, 97. Having a website was the innovation, right? It was the new thing. And in Switzerland, it was like that. If you were a lawyer or an attorney, you didn't have the right to do any advertisements. And then the law changed. And so we started to go through our parents' friend and whoever we found, and we started building websites, selling them. And gradually we turned that into a content management system, and that was the start of my journey. Then that's now my 8th journey. I've sold 3 companies. I've completely failed 4, and this is my 8th attempt.
Okay, this is the lucky one.
Yeah. I mean, it's there are journeys, right? So you have successful journeys and you have educational journeys as well.
Fail fast.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my thing. I didn't ever fail fast. I was always extremely slow to recognize that I had actually failed, and I was pushing it because, you know, there is a lot out there about resilience. People praise resilience and they say, the guy, he's there, he's keep doing it, and he's trying to raise more money and building it because he believes in his idea. But I must say that was a bad advice. Because resilience you are, because you are passionate when you do your stuff. What you need is to have the necessary overview to understand when it's the right time, when you need to pivot, or when you need to shut down. And I was very bad at that.
Okay, so what happened next? How did you come up with the idea for Dual Networks?
So
You're a co-founder, right? So you have a team?
Yeah. So I never came up with an idea. So to go back to the innovation part, I think it's not about the idea you initially come with, it's about the execution. It's about how you transform whatever initial idea you had that was really bad into something that actually makes sense and someone wants to buy and someone wants, and where you can actually add value. Adding value is what makes a customer, you know, pay every month or come back to you or recommend you to someone else. So you have really, that is the key. The key is to find, and this is why all of these new startup management methodologies, such as lean startup, like Steve Blank's that you might have heard of, which is the pope of a startup creation.
Okay.
They understood that. They understood the fail fast, the build, measure, learn, try and understand what you are, what you want to do, and for whom you want to do it.
Okay, and a huge number of the entrepreneurs, the investors, who've been on stage the past 2 days have said they don't invest in ideas, they invest in the people. So how did you go about finding the right people to work with?
Usually I find the wrong people, but that's normal. Because you find people whenever you meet them, and then you try, and if it doesn't work out, then you get them out, or you get out. It depends on if you are the founder or if you are part of a founding team.
But you found the right formula now?
Yeah. Now it's a different thing because I've learned, and that's the old thing, right? You understand what does make sense and what does not. Just as a little idea, back in 2006, I came across an idea that was, you know, sport is going to get connected. Right? You're going to have your performance within devices, being wearables or a football that is connected. And my idea was, I'm a passionate golfer, so was to create a smart golf ball. Thing is, create a smart golf ball technically is the craziest nightmare you can imagine, because the golf ball hits 25,000 G when it hits. There is no electronic that survives that. So I thought that was an excellent idea. I had put a team together. I could convince investors. I could convince people to come around me and on that journey. But the journey was
smashing your technology as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah, but the journey was, it was a fantastic idea. It was a fantastic team, but it was a really wrong logic. It was too early. And that has been my problem very often. I was too early with new ideas and new technologies. Now what we do is a bit different. We have an extremely reliable technology, a very unsexy approach to actually solving a massive problem that a lot of companies have, and mostly in the industry. See, we're talking physics. So whenever you try to do something with electronics and computation, you have at one point you have a blockage which is either memory, battery life if you want to go mobile, transmission distance if you want to send some data across. And my co-founder, who's a PhD, and so taking back to the conversation that was here, he invented a technology for a market that he didn't know about at the beginning. He invented a middle-range radio technology. So you have the long range, right? Cell phones and stuff like that. The short range, like Bluetooth, but you never had anything in the middle. So either you could transmit to a couple of meters or kilometers, but you could not do in between. And so what he did was developing a technique and a set of technologies to locate and to identify an object within a few hundred meters, okay? Yeah. But with precision, with very high precision. So when you try to do that, you have an option which is GPS, okay? We all know GPS, we all have that in the phones and in a lot of devices, but GPS takes a lot of energy because it sends things to the sky, right? It goes up, it needs power. So his idea was to have something that was very cheap, with a very low power consumption, but could still transmit pretty far away and could be located with precision. And this is what he developed, and he started by, attaching that to skip bins, waste management. It's not sexy industry, but it's incredibly necessary for our civilization and societies, right?
Okay, but the device itself is quite sexy. Why don't you show everyone?
Yeah. So.
And tell us how it works.
No, I'm not saying we're not sexy. What we do is really cool. We love it. It's fantastic. It's really breakthrough. But it is not. The vision is sexy. Let me maybe start with the vision. The vision is to connect the next billion devices. We've lived through the first revolution, which was connecting us together with phones and interfaces. But now we are going to connect any type of things. There's speakers, for example, could be connected. Any club card could be connected. Any compressor, any type of object that is not necessarily meant to be connected will be connected in the future. Now, there are two ways of doing it. Either you do the same thing all over again, which is installing, very costly infrastructure all around the towns and the countries, like in Bahrain. You have the cell phone towers. You invest hundreds of millions of dollars into that, and then you start charging a lot for using that infrastructure. Or you have what we have, which is that little device. That's all you need to actually create an IoT network. This device is a radio station, basically a radio receiver, and it also has a GPS. So it gives you the position, but it also communicates with very small sensors, such as this one. Now, how can we do it? We figured out something that nobody else did. Transportation, human activity, is the blood that goes through the vein of a city, if you want. This is everywhere, all the time. It's crossing around, and we can use that power, harness the power of transportation, the fact that you move from point A to point B, and you go through a certain area to do some detection, and this is how we do it. So we equip vehicles with our boxes here that becomes our nodes in a network, and this is how it's extremely cheap to do, extremely efficient, and I would say the fastest way of deploying such a network in the world right now.
Okay, let's move on to your experience in Bahrain. So you are based between Switzerland and Bahrain. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I'm mostly in Bahrain because the whole idea was to set up, to test, to come back to the idea of lean startup. Yeah. It's to try, you build it, and then you measure and you understand if it works or not. So we've been deploying in Europe for the past 2.5 years, gradually, increasing the quality of our services, understanding what we really do, and getting to a maturation stage where our customers are really happy. And then we said, okay, well, so where's the next region where we can really add value? And then the opportunity was with C5. We got accepted to the C5 accelerator
Awesome.
to set up our shop here. And the promise they gave us was, we're going to put you in front of whoever is, useful for you in the region. And that's exactly what happened. And eventually we partnered we made a joint venture in the region, and now we have a team, we have customers, and we are deploying, and the next stage is really to go a bit global in the MENA region.
Incredible. So you are a success story from Bahrain.
We have the first bricks of that success.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the foundation of it is here. It's working. The product is good. The product is giving exceptional results in the region for many, many reasons. But it's even better here than it is elsewhere in the world.
Okay,
and
that's
Bahrain
awesome.
has been incredible with us.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So tell us about your experience of the ecosystem. So you've had the C5
Yeah.
funding.
I mean,
or acceleration.
what you look for as an entrepreneur is like-minded people. Depending on where you go in the world, you don't find necessarily all, you find everywhere communities, right? But in Bahrain, it is going so fast with so much enthusiasm that you just go with the flow. And so EDB, C5, Tamkeen, everybody has been around us, helping us get there. And
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's because you
I feel
have had a
Bahraini now.
great,
I feel
because you
Bahraini.
have a great team with a great idea.
Now we do have an excellent team in Switzerland,
Yeah.
technical team, and we've come across incredible people here.
Yeah.
So
you're looking to build a team here in Bahrain.
Yeah, we have, and we'll keep adding, anyone that we found that is driven, that wants to change things, because at the end of the day, we might very well be changing the world. We at least have the first bricks of that.
Yeah.
We're going to make the world more connected. Remember that, I'm not comparing ourselves to anybody else, but connecting stuff is the next stage after connecting people.
Yeah, we've had a lot of speakers on the stage the past 2 days say that the thing they're most excited about over the next decade is Internet of Things.
But it's very difficult to do. And we have a solution that is not better than anyone else, but it's just smarter in some ways. In the ways that are the most painful ways, it's smarter than the others.
Awesome. Okay. So do you have any recommendations for any budding entrepreneurs out there that you'd like to wrap up with, or anything else you'd like to mention?
Do reality checks as much as you can.
Fail faster.
Yeah, ask people around you. If I take $1 million in personal debt on the success of my company, do you think it's a good idea? And if the person next to you says, I doubt this is a good idea, then listen to them a little bit, because I was really not listening to anybody, and I had heights and lows that you cannot imagine. That's the entrepreneur journey, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to go that journey, try to limit as much as you can the downside. Right? That's the thing, because just the fact of failing is already a learning. But if you fail and then you carry with you a backpack of catastrophes, and it takes 5 years to come back on your feet, then you're losing time and energy.
Okay. And how does the journey of an entrepreneur compare between Switzerland and Bahrain, would you say?
We heard it, right? The ecosystem. In Switzerland, we are the most innovative country in the world if you look at patents. I doubt that number is actually correct, but there is a lot of energy put together into research, into innovation, from the big concerns all the way down to the big for the big groups and conglomerates, all the way down to the universities everywhere. So you're competing against high tech most of the time. We're not high tech. I would say we are middle to low tech.
Mm-hmm.
You?
So it's not a hugely expensive piece of equipment that's going to be in everyone's home.
No, it's the execution that matters. It's really how you understand what's around you, how you can convince the first customer to stay with you, stick with you, and help you develop and help you understand. So you have to have the social capacity, the human capacity to listen to people. So as an entrepreneur, the best advice is listen to whoever you are facing and go face people, tell them about what you do, and listen. Take that for you, think about it, and then change whenever you have to change.
Okay. Any final words? Or any questions from the audience for Guillaume? Put your hand in the air if you have a question. Okay. Bringing a microphone over to you now. Oh, switch it.
Yeah. Okay. Bonjour, Guillaume. I'd like to react on one thing that you said. You said 5 years to go back on your feet, then it's taking too much time. The thing is, not everyone has the funding to go back on your feet.
Yeah, I didn't have the funding.
No. What I'm saying is, I heard the speech with the panel before, and there is a component that is underestimated here in Bahrain, in the region actually. It's the emotional component. We don't put enough emphasis on the emotional component. The first thing is the trust. When we talk about innovation, it's not only about technology and novelty. There is sometimes a misconception between innovation and novelty. It's about something that you create that will transform your life. And the thing is, you can create the ecosystem that, I don't remember the name, Hassan? No, the gentleman. He was talking about logistics, the incubators, the access to the marketing. But if you don't have this trust, that you don't feel safe to share your ideas, you won't first innovate, you won't create, and you won't share the ideas. The thing is, here in Bahrain, in the region, I feel the ideas that you can have, they can be stolen easily. And the IP, it's not going to protect you. The contract is not going to protect you. It happened to me. If you deal with the people that they have good wasta, they call it, good connection, what can you do? So this is the first thing, the emotional component. The second thing is about the funding. It's not about the business plan or the quality of the products. It's more about convincing the investor emotionally first. And then you have the business plan. And it has been proven scientifically that no investor will go and invest in a project if they are not first emotionally convinced. The thing is, they need a business plan to justify their yes emotionally, because it's very abstract. And I see that. I deal with investors every single day. And I'm changing my strategy. And I'm spending more time on convincing the investors emotionally, and then I share the ideas, the business plan. So this is what I do. With your experience with Switzerland and Bahrain, how do you convince emotionally the people that they are following you?
So first of all, the issue of IP. What are your thoughts? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. The IP doesn't really matter. That has been my point all my life. It does when you, protecting your know-how matters more than protecting your IP. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars into patents initially, because whatever you start doing is not what you are gonna end up doing. Right, so that's important. It might be a good game to invest some of the money initially into IP, but in most cases it isn't. So that's for the first one. For the second one is, how do I convince investors? We are not funded. We are self-funded, and we don't require that many capital to actually operate. We were very quickly cash positive. So we didn't, in that venture, we didn't take a lot of risk, because we grew organically, trying to understand what we were doing, and then we started having strategies to expand, right? Once we knew what we were doing. I think it's a different thing, and in Bahrain it's the case, because they were saying that there is not so much fundamental research going on, right? It's not so much real a breakthrough IP coming out of here, where a PhD guy invents something completely new and tries to find a 10 million investment to finish the product through the stages and stuff like that. So the only thing that you really need to do is to be an enchanter for the customers, and not for the VCs. The VCs, it's you said it's been proved. I think the only thing that has been proved in that field is that VCs, investors, they follow traction. if you show that you understand what's happening, that you are the master of whatever you are doing, and you can convince them that with you, they're gonna have an access to something they don't have an access right now, and they're gonna make a fantastic journey, then you got the emotional component there, but it's rather about having put the right blocks in place so that the next steps are growth. And now we are looking for larger amounts of money because we skipped the seed and the early stages rounds, and we're going to a larger round because we know what works, we know how much we make every time we sell one device, we know how much value we add to any one of our customers, so we can just say, okay, let's do the exact same thing out there. The next step would be Asia, and then the US. We already active worldwide. We have customers in Australia, in Chile, and they're using it, and we see that it's replicable, right? So I think that's the key. Take money whenever you really need it to expand something that you understand, if possible, and that applies to Bahrain because it's really going to be about the product that you build by putting it in front of people, customers, and having them pay and value your services and what you do for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time this afternoon. And are you going to hang around in case the audience have any questions for you to the
yes,
side there?
We are in the booth inside, so you can come and visit us with pleasure.
Wonderful. Best of luck with Dual Networks. And hopefully we'll hear from you again next year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So next up, in celebration of International Women's Day today, I am thrilled that we'll have a panel chaired by Shema from Zain on stories of female founders' success and how we can produce more female founders in the region. Are the panelists here, Ariana? Please welcome to the stage Shema from Zain and her panelists.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I would like to start by saying Happy Women's Day to all the beautiful women I have with me on stage and all the beautiful women in the auditorium. I'm really delighted to be here today with these amazing women. I've never met them before, just met them earlier. They're awesome, that's all I can say. They're all inspirational. They've all started their own innovative and impactful businesses. Let me start by introducing them. On my left, I will start in the middle, Dr. Sana Farid. She's a qualified surgeon. She's also the president of a Women of Wearables. She's a co-founder of Munfarid Consulting that provides consultation on educational AR and VR programs. I've got also with me Sabah Salim, who is and has 10 years of experience in managing and consultancy. Sabah is a co-founder, a founder actually, and a CEO of Studios that is concerned with creating games with an impact. And on the far left, I have Lana Al-Attar. Lana is actually a founder of Tasaffuh. She is also a founder of the first Google developer group in Bahrain. Yay! She's also a founder of Good Jojo, which supports businesses to go digital. So a good round of applause for my beautiful founders on the left. Now on my right, I have Hala Salman. Hala is and has 20 years of experience in media, in journalism. She's an ex-Batilco, ex-Zain, ex-Temkeen. She's a founder and managing director of Beyond Borders. And her Arawi app has won the best award for startup in the Arab world by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid bin Maktoum Award. So, welcome. And last but not least, I have Wafa Al-Abaidat. And if I have anybody from the PR and media industry in the auditorium, they would know who she is. She is a Chief Executive Officer and Creative Director of Obay and Hill. And she has won the 2015 Startup of the Year Award hosted by Bahrain. So everybody, welcome my beautiful audience on my right and on my left. Now, I think the purpose of today's panel is to go through the experience of these ladies, what challenges they have faced, the obstacles they had to overcome through their startups, and finally, the success that they have seen and the results and the rewards from it. I would start from the far left. Lana, would you like to talk about your experience?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Lana Al-Attar. I'm a serial social tech entrepreneur. My first business is called Good Juju, like good magic. We're a digital agency with a conscience. We aim to empower good using technology. Through that, I founded my second company called Tasafah, which means browse. In my experience, sometimes the little guys still couldn't afford a website, so we gave them a platform that they could sell their products and services online. I also am the founder of the first chapter of Google Developer Group in Bahrain. And I'm really excited. It's a community to learn and to teach about technology. We also certify people and pay for their online courses. It's fully sponsored, and we're backed by Google and the EDB and Startup Bahrain as well. I'm really excited about it. I'm also a global shaper and a Ashoka changemaker as well. So I'm very heavy on social impact. And that's what I do, really.
Lana, would you please tell me, what kind of advice would you be giving to women who are going into the entrepreneurship, who want to start their own businesses?
First things first is you want to test what it is that you're trying to go into. Being on the digital side, we get a lot of people that come up to us and we assist them, but they would say like, oh, I'm thinking of starting a business and it's going to be something random like edible shoes, for example, and it's going to be a very big hit. And you start to wonder, like, did you test the market? Have you actually tried it out? So really try to test your market, see where your clients are. With regards to women in entrepreneurship, I suggest to be confident and bold and really talk to your peers. We have a very strong community, and people are just waiting to help you. You've got Temkeen, BDB, EDB, Startup Bahrain. Everyone is there waiting to give you that push, that financial assistance, and everything that you need, even the knowledge and talent as well. So you should do that.
Excellent. While we were sitting back there, there was a phrase that you told me, that your friend told you, and that it was really pushing you towards your entrepreneurship. Would you like to share that with us?
Which one? I shared a few.
About owning your...
Oh yeah, that one was a big one. Thank you. There were two actually. One of the things that I find with women in entrepreneurship is that we don't own our accomplishments. I remember talking to a friend, and I get told this a lot, and I reminded myself, and I remind other women, when you accomplish something, you own it. Right? You have a responsibility to own it. So if you've done something amazing, you tell the world about it. You don't sell yourself short, ever.
Thank you. We move now to Dr. Sana. Can you please tell us a little bit about your company?
So, first of all, happy Women's Day to everybody, and thank you for joining us today. About my company, I started about like 3 years back and working exclusively with virtual and augmented reality. And I have chosen these two technologies to focus on education and training. I have, being a trainer for like the past 7-8 years, I have identified various challenges in terms of time, cost, in various fields, either in K-12 education or in professional education. And we can address many of these challenges using modern technology, using role play systems such as augmented and virtual reality. And we already have a lot of case studies and research to support this. So this is what I do.
Excellent. And in your opinion, what do we need to do more to inspire more women to move things forward and accelerate change? Like the business you're in particular is completely different. It's augmented reality, it's virtual reality. It's something that is very new in this world. How did you come up with that idea?
So the only thing that pushed me to move in this direction was my passion for it. I just saw it and I liked it and I believed in it. So once you believe in something, you're already half the way accomplishing it. And the most important thing I've heard so far was Lana saying that we have to own it. So I did not own it in the beginning. I just liked the idea and I was looking for people who are doing it. But I saw a lot of a lack in our part of the world. I could not find relevant people doing it. And that is what drove me here. So we have to follow what we are dreaming of. If we see something, if we think of an idea, we have to do it. It's actually a report that I read that having more women on board in any company leads to more success, because women by nature are more dedicated than the opposite gender. They put their heart into anything they're doing, whether it's at home or at work. And that is definitely a very big cause for success.
Excellent. What was the biggest roadblock you had while trying to set up your business?
One of them, luckily I am in Bahrain, and we have, in the past 4 or 5 years, we have great support from Temkeen, from the Economic Development Board, from Supreme Council of Women, and from many such organizations who are pushing and encouraging entrepreneurs in general, encouraging women all over, encouraging startups. So I think all of us were very lucky to be in such a country which is leading the way. Yet I did have a lot of challenges. The market was not ready, as Lana said. There was no market for that field back 4 or 5 years back. When I started to get into market, unfortunately, I had inequality and a very big part of it. But with my experience, I found out that where there is inequality and discrimination, there is also honesty and sincerity. And eventually, the win is only for what you call it, for something that makes sense, for something that is convincing others. And that is the success factor everywhere.
Thank you. Well, we go to Sabah now. So I leave the mic to you.
So just an introduction of me. First of all, happy Women's Day to everyone. As Lana was mentioning, I think it's awesome being a woman in this day and age and in this country, because I can say things like I'm a black belt in kickboxing, and it's just 2 times more impressive if I were a man, if I say that to you. And I am a black belt in kickboxing, by the way. So introduction about me. Well, I've come from humble beginnings. I am Pakistani. I was born and brought up in Bahrain. Bahrain is my home. And after finishing high school, I went directly into the workforce because I could not afford higher education, although I always believed in self-improvement. So I kept improving myself. Now, after having worked for a wonderful man, and he's an entrepreneur, and learning from him, I've realized that I've been looking for my passion all my life, and it was there all along, and it was video games. And another one of my passion was to make an impact in the world. I always wanted to have a life with purpose. So I have combined these two in my startup, which is called the Stories Studio, where we are creating video games for impact. So every game that we are creating is about some kind of cause, a humanitarian cause, a human condition. For example, we're making a game about the refugee crisis. We're also currently working on a game about feminism, so happy Women's Day. And we believe that we can make a difference by using a very engaging medium to start difficult conversations. We're very, very new. I'm probably the newest startup in this bunch. We're only 2 months old, but we have great plans, and I feel that everything that I've done in my life up to this point has led me to this and has prepared me and made me ready, so I'm ready to go.
Nice. Well, what I want to ask you is, particularly your company, which has to do with video gaming, is a very male-oriented domain, if I may say. So how did that make you feel? Was it easy to get into that? Did you find a very big difficulty being a woman trying to get into a field that is very male-dominated?
It's a bit premature for me to answer that because I haven't actually entered into the field. I haven't marketed my game. If I talk about the community in Bahrain, I feel it is very open-minded, very welcoming, and there's no discrimination I felt at all if it comes to me being a woman. And also, that being said, I think that generally in Bahrain we've had this because we were at a gaming event in 2015 where we had people coming in from London. And at this game, it was a game competition, a 2-day game competition, where we had maybe 50% males and 50% females. And the guys from London were amazed by that because they were like, we've never seen so many females in a video game competition before. And you might think that the industry is male-dominated, but 50% of the gamers are actually females. So 50% of the games that are being sold out there are actually being played by females. The sad part is that most games are not targeted towards females. But that's changing now. That's also changing. People are waking up to the fact that you are not targeting 50% of your market. So people are waking up to that. And also the creators in the gaming industry are largely female, not largely female, but most of them, like I would say around 40% are also females. If you look at the credits of any game out there, you will have male and female names. So I think we're breaking norms. It's a great age. Nice car sound, yeah. So we're getting there. As I said, it's a great time to be alive.
Great, thank you so much. I turn now to this side of my panelists. I start with let's see, who do we start with? Dr. With Hala. So Hala, would you like to start telling us about your field and your story?
I'm going to go against the odds and say it's not Happy Women's Day. Oops. Every day should be a happy day for women and men. And so I celebrate my day every day. My name is Hala, and I don't like to speak about myself a lot, but I think I like to speak about what I am engaged in most of the time. As much as there have been a lot of X's in Shaima's introduction, it's because I continue to move on from one area to the other because of progression or because of my belief in the new project that I move on to. I've had the great opportunity to work in telecoms for 10 years, whether it's Batelco or Zain, and engaged in a lot of firsts in technology in Bahrain. In addition to Temkeen, which was a labor reform agency, and has created a lot of change and support for people in Bahrain. The last 10 years have been great, I think, for the Bahraini community, for the private sector, and for all the sectors that Temkeen has targeted. I actually wanted to just take 2 years away from everything, and I wanted to call it a sabbatical leave. And then I never imagined I'd also be an entrepreneur one day or even into business. But then I decided, with all the experience I have, I set up my consultancy, which I called it Beyond Borders Consultancy. And the reason I called it that is I wanted every project I'm engaged in either brings people to our borders within Bahrain or takes Bahrain across beyond borders. And I've been lucky to work with a few financial projects. I've only been a year and a half. And recently working with the United Nations as well. On an amazing project that's going to help a lot of children in Bahrain and in the region. The other baby which we're working with is Arrawi. And Arrawi, myself and my great partners, Hamad and Amira, and the whole team that are working with us, and everybody who has supported us, whether in believing in us or what we're doing, it's still a baby. It's been legally, if I call it with the CR language, it's 1 year and 2 months. But in reality, the application has been less than 6 months. And we're creating and providing culture to the people through an application. And it hasn't been an easy journey, but people are into social media, are into foodies, are into clothes, are into fashionistas, you name it. So putting a business and putting your energy, your values, your belief, your heart into it is really what gives us the drive and makes us go on and on and on. Arrawi is an audiobook application for Arabic books, And we've had amazing response and positive engagement from the community, whether in Bahrain or across the world, because it's a Bahraini baby. It's an Arab, it has an Arab identity, and it travels all across the world. So this is, in a nutshell, what I do, and it's things that I believe in, I have a passion for, and they have a cause at the end of the day. And I think that's the one value of having a cause that all women share. It's our sort of emotional, caring. There's a lot of CSR in our personalities as women.
Well, I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with the Arawi concept?
Arawi is actually, the concept started with my partner. He travels a lot, and he wanted to develop his Arabic language and his passion for books into something which he could access. And at the time when we started, there were no active audiobook applications. Within a year's time, all the dormant and all the dead applications in that area decided to wake up all of a sudden, which made the challenge even more tougher. But at the same time, I come from a media background, when he engaged me with the concept, with myself and our partner Amira, we all have a passion for books and culture. We believe in our Arabic language and identity. And it's something that, yes, if I'm going to do a business, I want to do it with something with a cause. And this is how Arawi came up.
Nice.
And we've all been brought up, I think, as children with stories from our parents, from our grandfathers, from our elderly. So we're talking to the current generation, to the current youth and people. They're on the mobile all the time. You might as well sell them something that's useful, and hopefully it will reach to all generations.
Amazing. I wanted to ask you, do you think that it is the golden age for women in entrepreneurship in this region? Do you think it's the right time for women to bloom?
I think women are capable, and they've been doing it not in this era. They've been doing it even since the old civilizations. It's just that the norm and the kind of work they were doing was totally different. But yes, it is the time for us. And as well, I'm not gonna, again, I know you're gonna shoot me, it's a women's session, but it's a time for all youth. It's a time for the current generation, away from the normal jobs, away from the public jobs, the public government jobs. You have an opportunity, go for it. If you fail, you can always go back, but if you have the skill, the experience, and you read through Arawi and increase your knowledge, then you can certainly grow and develop and be an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wafa, we come to you.
Hi.
Hi, so you tell me about your journey.
So first of all, thank you for having me here today. It's really such a pleasure to be on this fantastic panel of incredibly smart women. My name is Wafa Al-Abaidat. I'm a Bahraini entrepreneur. I run 4 companies. My core business is O'Brien Hill. It's a communications firm. I work with a team of 20 I guess, young youth creatives. 99% of them are women, so that gives you an idea of my hiring strategy. And we have one more guy to go. He's not leaving because he's my brother and he's my partner. We also have a retail subsidiary to our company. We have a concept store, so we actually house 60 emerging brands in Riyadh under a store called Milk Concept Store. And we have Barrel and Drum, which is a line of wooden accessories and eyewear. And we have Sukkar, which is a carrier brand.
Right, so you want to tell me about the obstacles you faced. I think the most dominant of your businesses is the PR agency. That is what you're well known for. And I'd like to know, did you face, what kind of difficulties you faced setting it up and your journey through that? Was it difficult being a woman in that industry in particular?
So I, like everybody else, I think really struggled to start up. I think I quit almost 10 times and had a couple of nervous breakdowns.
And what made you change your mind and not quit?
I had a good support system rallying behind me. I rallied behind myself. I really believe in what I'm able to achieve. my biggest struggle was really starting up the company. I think a lot of the rules have changed now with the new policies at the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. But at the time, just getting my registration was a complete and utter headache. I had to have a huge deposit in the bank. I had to have I had to have an address for an office. All the things that are much easier to get now due to co-working spaces and business centers. But it was very difficult to get my CR. I think I ran my business for about 2 years without a CR. That didn't stop me from trading and doing business. But it was definitely the setup phase. And recruitment was a challenge in the beginning, getting onboarding team members who believe in what you're doing. And getting them to, again, rally behind your cause and your vision and going the way, like building the company with you instead of going for a much more safer or corporate or more, or to a more corporate job. So I think those were my two biggest challenges starting up.
Well, I wanted to ask you is, do you think that as a business owner and being a female business owner, do you think you have more responsibilities than a male business owner?
So I don't see much of a difference. I think whether you're a female or a male, you have the same responsibilities in starting up. I actually feel, as a woman, I get a lot more visibility because not enough women, I feel, put themselves out there. So when you do, I am able to get the right support that I need. I have no problem knocking on doors and asking for things and asking for mentorship and asking for support. And because of that, and due to my intention setting and constantly putting that out there, I'm able to get a lot more guidance and accelerate the growth of my company. And because I do that, I'm able to receive a lot more guidance, support, funding, etc. And I think not enough women do that. So, this is the same with being an athlete. I think if, only, for example, I'm a 2 times Ironman Bahrain finisher. I barely made it last year, but I like to use that as an example because only 13 women raced last year on average. 13 Bahraini women raced in the race. So you could make podium just by participating. You could make the top 3 slots. So if more women participate, it's a lot more competitive. So I don't find that a lot of areas are populated with competitive women, and because of that, you're able to win awards and get more recognition for your work.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, before I end up my session, I want to go back again with one round. If you have one piece of advice to give to women who are entrepreneurs and have an idea and want to get out there into the business, what that one piece of advice be? So can I start with Lana?
Hi, I would suggest that you get in touch with the communities. You could start with Startup Bahrain, for example, and take it from there. So just talk to people, get out there.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree with Lana. There is a lot of exposure nowadays. We have a lot of business centers, accelerators that are ready to help with the mentoring, ready to help with the space, with all the challenges that Wafa just explained. So it's much easier to start now, and it's all about knocking doors and reaching there. So you will see a lot of help once you believe in yourself and start going there and asking for help.
Thank you.
Well, obviously there's a big support system, so use it. We have the Startup Bahrain, we have EDB, we have BDB, we have everybody. But my personal advice would be bold, believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So,
correct.
I would say develop your mentorship network. So I have about 10 mentors, and I take them out for coffees every month. And I refer to them in different areas if I'm overcoming any challenges. So I don't kind of stay in the same place for too long. But I've really accelerated my growth because of them. And I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for their time, energy, for them picking up the phone to get something moving for me or to support me. So I think make sure that you build a network of supporters around you.
Are they all female?
I'm going to say like 40%.
40%. Well, that's good.
I would say, and honestly, read, increase your knowledge, network, whether through mentors or through events, and finally benefit tremendously from the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We have an amazing network, like what all the ladies said. Bahrain has it all, make the most out of it.
Thank you very much. Well, I would like to thank all the beautiful women with me here on the panel today. It's inspiring to be around you. It's inspiring to hear your stories. And I think it's a case study for all the women out there to see these stories, to follow them, and to start following their dreams, and to see that success is possible. Challenges are there, obstacles will always be there, but success is there as well. So thank you very much, and again, happy Women's Day. Thank you. Do we have time? Do we have time? Sure, sure. So, do we have some questions for my panelists? No. No? No? You grab one.
I think Yasin has a question. Yasin always has questions.
So I've been here for about 2 years, and where I come from, China, surprisingly, women are actually extremely involved there. There's no job that a man can do that a woman can't. That's construction, utilities, everything. Now I did notice here though that women are very strong in leadership here. But why is it that you see that, in my opinion, more in Bahrain than what I would see in Saudi or in the Emirates? You know, you see a lot of C-levels here. A lot of them are females, you know, of the big family businesses too. Why is that? Why Bahrain?
I'm gonna take the first go at you.
Go for it.
But Bahrain started education in 1919. Bahrain next year celebrates 100 years of education. Bahrain started its reform programs compared to the Gulf and other countries in the region. Now it's nearly 12 years ago, not 10 years ago. So there's a lot of first. The infrastructure is there. The environment is there. The nature of the country, being an island and being a trade center, has allowed for the country to be cosmopolitan, to be open. And as well, the people, because of the education, because of the knowledge, were able to support the females, whether they're Bahrainis or non-Bahrainis. Including, another aspect is, for example, we were the first country in the Gulf to launch a school for women or for females, or basically education open for ladies. I think all of these as a build-up create that sort of, gives you the confidence in yourself. And also it's viral. So through, for example, just simply a mentorship network, you encourage each other, you support each other. And this is a free commercial for Startup Bahrain, or the startup ecosystem, basically. If it wasn't for all these events and activities and everything, people look at the audience, half the audience here are female. So there is a belief in them, and vice versa. They feel, okay, let's come and check it out and see what's happening, because they believe there's a chance and an opportunity for them. That's what Bahrain has to offer.
Thank you.
The mic.
Hello, Tariq Al-Alimi. I'm incredibly inspired by all of your stories. And a question from a male perspective: what can we do as men to support women, Bahraini women, in the workplace and communities?
Hi, Tariq. Figured you'd ask a question like that. Well, I'm blessed to be part of such an amazing community where we have, as we call it, male allies to help support us and encourage us. Men can understand the differences in how we work in terms of encouragement, and to really see if we need any kind of help. Like, women offer help very easily, men just assume everyone's just like, okay. So we appreciate the support and the help and any kind of push and at opportunities that you guys can, give us. I've been blessed to have you as a friend and an awesome support and mentor during my journey through social entrepreneurship, and we need more people that can assist in that way.
Thank you. I think there's more questions.
Hi, my question is for you, Wafa. You talked about developing a network of mentors. So how do you approach people and ask them to be your mentors? Because you can't just approach a stranger and be like, hi, can you be your mentor? How do you actually develop a relationship with the leaders, male or female? Like, for example, if I want to approach someone from EDB who I know has much more experience than me to help me as a co-founder and entrepreneur, how do I develop that relationship where I can actually book a meeting with them on a monthly basis?
Thank you for asking that question. I don't think there's a right formula or a one size that fits all. I've approached all my mentors very differently. I first see what I need or where I feel there's an obstacle or a challenge. I simply find a way to connect with somebody or with that person. I usually know who I want to work with, and I choose my mentors like I choose my friends. And my intention is very clear when I meet them that I want to learn. I try to establish a relationship with them, so it has to also be organic and feel natural to the both of us. And then I don't call them every day, wahin, or I'm in their face. I actually make it very clear that I would love to have you as a mentor, and I invite them to be my mentor. And as and when needed, I visit their office, I take them out for a coffee, I give them a call when I feel that they're able to assist me in a certain space. But it's also, it's not a one-way street, vice versa. They are equally, they feel flattered, it's part of their CSR. They understand it's a duty that they have to mentor and support or coach an apprentice or somebody that they also feel connected to. So they have to also want that invitation and want to give you that time and energy. So likability is key, and building that relationship is very important. And just understanding that it's not like a business or professional relationship. I actually put a lot of effort. Like I would a friend, I would remember their birthday, I would call to say hello. So I think that's it. Best, I literally do have, I have either emailed somebody, set up a meeting, met them at an event, and I've connected with them in that way. And I have different mentors at different spaces for different things. I have somebody to go to for operational support, investments, somebody to help me with my HR and my training, somebody to help me with leadership, or assist me and coach me. So there's a lot of different mentors for different things.
Thank you. Do you mentor yourself?
Yes. This is, so one of the best parts of my job is when I get a lot of calls as well, because I do a lot of talks about a lot of my failures and how I've turned some of my challenges around. And I do have people that come to my office and ask for a meeting, and some people who are also in the same space as me, so we're competing with each other, and I really try to be as transparent as possible about how they can restructure their business model, and giving them some tips and trade secrets so they can also learn and grow their firm as well. So I try to do that as best that I can.
Thank you. Do we have more questions?
Hi, thank you very much for this panel. It's very, very interesting. I just want to disagree with Sabah when you say that there is no discrimination in Bahrain. There is discrimination everywhere, every country. One of the concrete examples is when I opened my company, my visa is businessman, not businesswoman. It doesn't exist. And actually, I don't read Arabic, and one of my friends said, well, what's this? This is Rajal something? I said, what's this? No, I'm a businesswoman. I asked for a businesswoman visa. So I went back to the immigration, and they were very nice with me because I'm a woman. And they said, no, there is no businesswoman visa in the system. So it shows, it seems silly, but it shows that, there is a discrimination. So they replace it by investor, but they replace it by investor as a male. So it doesn't make the difference. Maybe because we are in different business. I deal with investors, and really the discrimination, it's not only in Bahrain, and I see Bahrain I've been here for 11 years. I've been living in States, in France. I was born in France. I grew up in France, as you can hear from my accent. My origin is Arabic. I'm Algerian. And I wanted to do something here for this country using the Western. So, and I'm not Bahraini. The thing is, I think we need to increase our credibility. And this is our mistake, women. We have to help each other, and I'm glad to hear that you are hiring women. And unfortunately, I've not reached that. I'm very scared to hire women. Very scared. I deal with investors, very, very high-risk business. And unfortunately, women, we get pregnant, we have our period. We are not yet, we need to work always double to prove ourselves. The thing is, we need to accept that. I used to fight that, now we accept it. And I use the benefits as a woman. As you said, I knock on the door. I think as a woman it's easier. As a man, they will say, yalla, yalla, go. But we need to emphasize on us women. We are the problem, not the country, not the ecosystem. It's us. Okay. We need to hire women. We need to give them chances. We need to be, actually, the leaders, it has been scientifically proven that the women, they are the best leaders. So the question is, actually it was not a question, it was more a reaction to you saying that there is no discrimination. No, there is.
All right, I'll just clarify. I said there's no discrimination in the gaming community. And as a woman in business, I think that we are given, in this region at least, I feel women are a little bit more privileged than in other regions. Because we have things like the Riyadat Mall here. We have Tamkeen funds just for women. So it might actually still be discrimination against men. And I would also like to say that we need to really choose our battles. So I can get upset about being called a businessman, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, I'm running a business, and I'm a leader, I'm the boss. And as you said, what the battle that I would like to choose, and I would suggest you do too, is start hiring women. What's wrong with hiring women? The change needs to start with ourselves first. And you're absolutely right. I've seen some women, and I see this changing a lot now, and I see women who are leaders understand this, that we need to lift each other up. So I don't know why you were afraid to hire women, because as a manager, when I've hired, I felt that women are so much more easier to work with. And again, I'm not discriminating against anything. This is my experience, that the only drama I've ever experienced has been with my male subordinates, not with the female ones. The females work harder because we always have this innate sense that we need to prove something, we need to do our best, we need to show up every single day. And we do it everywhere. We do it in our personal lives, we also do it in our professional lives. So I would suggest, instead of getting mad about being called a businessman, try hiring some women, because that's where you need to make the change. You know, we need to pick our battles, and we need to believe in each other. There are talented women everywhere, and there's, in fact, I would say when you're hiring, yes, you can lean towards hiring a woman, but why aren't you hiring someone that you actually need, who is perfect for the job, who is behind you in the cause that you're working for? You know, so if you want to start with discrimination, let's end it within first, because if you try and fight the system while it's still inside, it's not going to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabah. We've got one more question.
In front? Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you very much for this amazing panel. My name is Al Khalifa. I come from Zain, Bahrain, Director of Corporate Communications. Zain had the opportunity to pick and choose sort of what area we wanted to sponsor or push as a panel, and we purposefully chose this specific panel, the Female Entrepreneurship Panel. We recognize, thank you. We recognize in Zain, of course, the initiatives and the type of goals and outcomes that women have done throughout the years. Zain is actually, as we speak today, celebrating Women's Day at our company. We have all of our Zain operations across the region, the Arab region, all coming together at Zain and learning from each other, taking advice from each other, and really getting them empowered to learn more. And you probably saw it today, probably one of the more engaging discussions we've had today. I'm very happy with, I'm sure everybody is quite happy with it. Going forward, I feel like that if there's one thing that we wanted to come out of this today, is that there's nothing holding us back, whether you're a male or a female, although from these discussions I got a bit intimidated, quite honestly. But amazingly, nothing should hold us back. And I feel like with the right mindset and the right mix, and I've dealt with working with both men and women, I feel like there's nothing stopping us from out there. Be bold. I feel like that's the statement of the day today as well. So I wish to thank you all for being here, and your experiences does show. I really thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all our panelists, and thank you again to Zain for enabling this to happen, and thank you for braving in the heat and being here. We're just waiting now. We're about to have our two big competitions. Thank you. Another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. So we're just waiting now for our Amex Hack on the Track. It was a fierce battle, and we've then after that we have the face-off. So both competitions are going to be happening straight after each other. Just while I'm up and waiting for the judges and the people to come, I want to say a big thank you again to Startup Bahrain, to EDB, and to all of you for being here. Amex, are we ready? Is everybody ready to find out who actually won the Hack on the Track and who's going to be winning face-off? Yes? I can't hear you, yes? That's better. Very good. Who's going to Rita Ora tonight? Okay, it's definitely that side. I'm going. Right. Where is Angel Hack? Hello. The staircase is where... Oh, there's one over here. Right. So again, a big thank you to all of the hackers who are up all night, and a big thank you to you all for being here. Over to you.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. My name is Bryce, and I am with Angel Hack, and we had the awesome privilege of working with over 95 hackers for the past 26 hours. They hacked new and innovative cashless payment and digital solutions. And it was an amazing time because we got to be able to watch them come up with these incredible ideas and make new ways of us to be able to access digital payments, whether here in the ME or overseas and abroad. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually announce those winners. But before we do, I actually want to give a shout out to all those that participated in the social media challenges. We're going to be handing out those prizes after this session right now. And we'll be able to move over with that after. Ooh, there we go. That's my voice. All right, so before we move any further and announce the winners, I want to welcome to the stage the man of the hour who's going to be helping me hand out these prizes. So that's Mazakur, the CEO at American Express, Middle East and North Africa. All right, so we did have a slide, but we're going to move forward with it, and we're going to announce the top 3 winners. So, hackers, are you ready to hear who won Hack of the Track? Yeah, they've been up for so long, they have just only energy now. They'll probably crash after or just party hard. Who knows? So, all right, you guys ready? So I'll announce the third place, and then you can announce the name. Remember who they were? I have it listed. All right, so in third place, winning $5,000 USD, we have Vero. Well done. Camera. Good job, round of applause. Okay. Congratulations, guys. All right, everyone. And so in second place, and our runner-up, winning $10,000 USD,
Actually, they had a great idea. A great idea, which I'm sure it will resonate with many of us who have children. Stipino.
All right, so this is it. Do you guys want to hear who the grand prize winner is? They're winning $20,000. I'm pretty excited because I wanted $20,000, but they'll get it, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. So the grand prize winner, winning $20,000, and we're going to give them a drum roll. So everyone, hands on your laps. Okay, sync ready?
You guys had all creative names, so I forgot them, although I just judged. Pay Sync. Congratulations. Well done.
Let's give them another round of applause and to all of the participants.
All right, so we're going to welcome all of our winners back up on stage. Give them one more round of applause for the Hack of the Track 2018 winners. Here they are. Congratulations, guys. Give them one more round of applause.
Keep the applause.
There we go. Keep it up. You guys are strong. All right. Thank you guys all.
I think we should also recognize every single participant in the hackathon. We had over 90 participants, and our youngest participant was either 14 or 15 years old, and he was actually up there presenting to us. So well done. And I also want to take the opportunity as well to thank our judges. We had Dr. Simon from the Economic Development Board, Daniel Seal from Unbound, and last but not least, in addition to myself, Waleed from WAMDA. So thank you very much for coming all the way and for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you again to Amex and to all of the hackers for being here. Thank you. Right, now for another competition. I'd like to introduce to the stage Yasin from Brink and Hadia from C5, who are going to be leading face-off on the track. And I'd like to also extend to say thank you to Yasin and the whole of the Startup Bahrain ecosystem and community leaders who've helped us to build many partnerships here. So thank you to Startup Bahrain, thank you to the Startup Bahrain Week, and thank you again to all of you. Yasin, I think the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you very much. First of all, I'm going to wait for Hadia to get on stage, but I think we have to give a really, really big thank you to Daniel and his team for really pulling this off. I think that they did an amazing job of bringing everyone from the region on a very short notice to Bahrain. So please, one huge round of applause for Daniel and his team, please.
Hi, guys. Oh, it's exciting to see everyone is back and it's a full house. I'm Hadia Fathallah, Executive Director of C5. I don't know if many of you were here yesterday, but we had the first round of Face Off on the Track, which is a competition that Brink and C5 collaborate on to bring together startups from the region and have them pitch their products to an audience and a panel of judges. Our judges are sitting in the front seat, and Yasin, do you want to let them know how we do this?
Yeah, so yesterday what we did is we had 7 startups who were scale-ups and 7 startups who were seed stage. And they went through all their pitches, and we had and we had a different set of judges. Congrats, guys. And there was a different set of judges who had selected them, and today we're left with 4 teams. 2 teams in the scale-ups and 2 teams in the seed stage. And the winners of each teams will get $25,000, and the second place runner-up will get $10,000. So a big cash on the line. They did a great job yesterday, and today they're going to be pitching to brand new judges, and they'll be able to do a 5-minute pitch and 5 minutes Q&A. So if I can just have right now, if the judges can maybe take a few seconds, stand up, and tell us where you're from and what you do.
And before they do that, none of this would have been possible without the support of Startup Bahrain and the EDB, but also Temkeen, always pragmatic and forward-thinking and putting up all the support necessary to really build a strong ecosystem. Go for it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Karan Panudure. I'm the Group Chief Digital Officer of the leading telco in Bahrain, which is Batelco. And I'm an ex-VC. I used to work as a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley for many years.
Hi, I'm Danny Kessler. I'm the co-founder of Unbound and delighted to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Mena. I'm from the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, from the SMEs Development Directorate. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Zuhair Bahrani, Director of E-Commerce and IT, Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Tourism.
Hello guys, Hamad Al-Sa'i, Public Sector Lead, Microsoft Bahrain.
Hello everyone, my name is Safa Abdel Khalid. I come from Temkeen. Basically, the main mandate of Temkeen is to support the private sector and basically making the private sector the main engine of growth for the economy. I'm currently heading the corporate planning department responsible for developing strategies and initiatives that will support the objectives of Temkeen. I did a little bit of research on the participants today, and I think we do have a tough competition, which will give us a very tough time. What we are looking for is basically a unique value proposition that will support and fueling the digital economy that we are trying to head to. So I wish each and everyone the very best of luck.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, we're going to bring our first startup. They came all the way from Egypt. Put your hands together for Widebot.
With you when you ask a question.
Difficulty. Just need about a minute to sort this out, guys. Here we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Omar Hamada from Widebot. We are here today because we have a dream of offering you a fast, effective, quality service while penetrating a market with millions of end users. Only last month, we were able to reach 120,000 of them, and now we're reaching out for the rest. Every few years, a trending technology comes by that changes everything in your life. The web, then the mobile technologies at first were edges, but then turned into necessities. Our focus is on what's coming next, the bot technology. It's the process of chatting, but instead of one human texting another, he chats with a software. And using advanced artificial intelligence techniques, it's just as real as having a normal conversation. Widebot is a software as a service, providing a tool that allows anyone to build his own smart chatbot within 10 minutes only and without any technicalities. And what makes our tool unique is not only the easy bot building process, but the AI and machine learning algorithms that make our bots interactive and personalized. We empower businesses with this technology so that they can automate their operations, improve their customer service, increase their sales opportunities while saving them a lot of money. We target businesses in the MENA region, enabling them to build their chatbots by themselves. Each industry has its own template and knowledge base. Currently, we empower the food, e-commerce, and banking industries. The market size is huge. 30,000 restaurants in the region delivering 500,000 orders every day, as well as 3,000 e-commerce platforms performing 50 million transactions per year. So imagine you now want to make an order from McDonald's, you just open Facebook Messenger, say, Salamu alaikum, ana abghi Big Mac, and you can pay online and track your order. All of this a business can have in 3 steps. Go to our platform and sign up, select your Facebook page, and upload your data. We differ from other bot builders in that our product supports native AI in Arabic with different dialects. It is industry specific, thus faster and easier to use. And most importantly, with YBot, businesses don't need to train their engine. Our revenue streams comes from monthly subscriptions that we charge on businesses based on different packages. We implement a marketing strategy using hybrid pulling and pushing growth hacking techniques. This in addition to partnering with agencies to acquire our customers. In only 8 months, we have generated $70,000. We currently have 300 clients in 6 countries like Americana and Bank Santander. Our growth rate keeps us optimistic with a 100% increase in the past 2 months. We tend to scale our operations through our set milestones, where by mid-2018, we will have 1,000 clients, and by the end of the year, we plan to hit the 3,000 clients benchmark. We are a team of 17. Nabil and Labib have 9 years of experience in technical development and management respectively. Our CPO, Saif, is the owner of the largest chatbot in the world with 70 million users. It's called Ascarbot. And I'm a former IBM Watson specialist and the former president of a 200 members NGO. Together, we were able to achieve a fair combination of business and technical achievements. And together, we plan to achieve much, much more. Our dream is to innovate and to enable businesses to do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Whitebot. We're going to go to a Q&A from the judges.
Thank you for your presentation. Quick question. How do you develop an applications ecosystem? Because obviously you can't target and develop solutions for every single vertical. So how are you planning to expand into different verticals? Do you have an enterprise framework that allows open source development?
If I understand your question right, actually we tend to scale first horizontally through different industries, where each industry we create for it its own template and knowledge base so that it would be fully customized to the business in this specific industry. Speaking of enterprises, it is more customized, where we have a general bot space where they, if they need, can run their own general scripts. If they don't need that and it's not very sophisticated, they can actually use the specified framework that we created for their industry. So for example, Americana, they operate in the food industry. They use the framework called the Menu Maker for the food industry. And every day we enhance the application framework that we created so that it is fully customized and as accurate as possible to meet their customers' expectations and theirs. Hope I understood the question well. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Well done on an excellent presentation. Just very briefly, can you outline your AI roadmap?
I'm sorry, I just...
Just very briefly, could you outline your AI roadmap?
Okay. Well, when we first started, we were using Microsoft Bot Framework and we integrated with Lewis. However, over time, we wanted to not be dependent on any external frameworks. So we created our own bot building framework. And then we created our own natural language understanding engine. Currently, we are 90% of our AI is fully built in-house.
and only 10% we're still dependent on Lewis. And the reason we did that and developed that ourselves is that we wanted to minimize the resources we use externally so that we can scale up easier and faster and to not be charged on things that we can develop in-house. Each customer that comes, each client, it makes sure that the AI engine is more accurate so the customer after him benefits from his experience and his customers' experiences. Thank you.
Hi, two quick questions.
Sure.
Does your bot perform transactional transaction? For example, do I perform anything like payments?
Yeah.
And the second thing, how many languages do you support?
Okay, we integrate with Stripe Atlas for payments. So yes, you can integrate with it. We integrate with a large number of frameworks as well for other purposes. The second question? Languages, yeah. We support Arabic with different dialects, Egyptian, Emiratis, and Saudi. And we also support English, of course. And there is a language translator service that we use. So, for example, you want a Spanish transaction like Bank Santander from Argentina, which we worked with. You can translate the language to English, which the engine understands and replies back with the language of the customer.
One of the most interesting and debatable subjects these days is artificial intelligence. And I really think this is where the future lies. However, one of the most prominent cases that comes to my mind is the Twitter bot. I'm sure you know about it.
Twitter bot?
Yes, the Twitter bot. Basically, they were designed to self-learn through conversations with the customers to improve the end user experience. But at one point of time, they had to shut down. I would want to know from you, what are the protocols that you have in place to control any sort of or contingency plan to control any defiance if arise? How are you going to control any sort of issues that may arise in future?
In matters of, you mean technically, or you mean? Well, the thing is, technically, we work very hard on our research and development to keep up to date, not just with the newest technologies, but in the most common issues that actually face people working in the field of AI. So we target that from different aspects. First aspect, from the team perspective, we make sure that whoever works with us has the necessary experience to be able to prevent the problem before it happens rather than solving it after it happens. Secondly, we have created and launched 2 weeks ago an AI lab that's fully responsible for research and development, where we get the best mindsets that we find in our native countries so that they can actually research and innovate in the product, so that when they constantly innovate, any problem that just starts appearing, they notice it and they find the most proper solution for it in a team rather in just an individual work environment. So we target this from the team perspective and technically also through our research and development department.
Next up.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, also from Egypt, is Rafiq. For the judges, we will take a few questions for the maximum of about 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Bassem. I am founder of Rafiq. We are living now in the middle of artificial intelligence revolution. $15 billion is the expected market size of virtual assistant by 2021. Virtual assistant is type of programs that can understand natural language and perform actions based on what it understood. Imagine verbally speaking to your phone to prepare your to-do list or set an alarm. That's what's happening right now in the world of virtual assistant. If we took a closer look to Android platform, we find Google Assistant, Jarvis, Robin, and many other assistant applications. Even some mobile vendors are building their own assistant applications, like Samsung and HTC. Unfortunately, however, most of these apps are built mainly in English and do not support Arabic and has limited features. On the other hand, 65% of Egyptians and 70% of Arabs do not speak English. This is nearly about 300 million people that can't utilize the functionality of virtual assistant. That's why we came up with Rafiq. Rafiq is an Android application that can understand Arabic voice commands in the user's local dialect. Rafiq can control your phone, So next time you're going to bed, just pick up your phone and say in Arabic to Rafiq, wake me up at 6 a.m. Driving and want to make a phone call? Easy. Just pick up your phone and say in Arabic to Rafiq, call mom, and it's done. Rafiq also can integrate with third-party applications. So next time you're going to book a Careem ride, just ask Rafiq to do it for you. This is Rafiq. You can use it from the application, or you can use it from the home screen widget for ease of access. We are currently focused in Egypt, targeting Android smartphone users within the age range of 18 to 39 years old. This is nearly about 14 million users. We have two types of customers. First one is individuals who are going to download the application and use it for free. The second type is corporate platforms like taxi platforms, hotel reservation platforms, etc., who will be interested to reach our individual customers. Rafiq is going to generate revenue through deals and commission with through partners, and affiliate commission, and voice ads that will be played after the user finishes his conversation with the application. We are going to reach our customers through social media campaigns and exhibitions, partner campaigns, and also we are going to build many features in the application as it will result in more downloads and more usage of the application. Also, we are going to reach our partners through direct selling. As we can see that there are many competitors to Rafiq, but Rafiq is different as it supports Arabic voice commands in users' local dialect and can integrate with third-party applications, all of this with ease of access. Currently, Rafiq is beta version testing phase on Google Play Store, ready to download and use for free. However, we got 1,700 organic downloads, and we are integrated with Careem and Souq, and we can do 11 actions. We are now focused in Egypt. We're expecting to reach, by the end of this year, 15,000 users, and we are going to build a beta version to support Gulf accents. By the end of 2020, we expect that we cover Egyptian accents and whole Gulf accents with multiple services. This is the team behind Rafiq. It's me as an Android developer, Ahmed Salah as a business developer. We have two advisors, Mohammed Noor as a technical advisor, and Ahmed Khalid as a business advisor. During the past year, Rafiq won the first place in mobile application launchpad competition provided by Google and Teak in Egypt with a cash prize of $20,000 US. Third place in Falling Walls Lab, Egypt, and we participated in the Ideathon competition as a finalist in the previous ArabNet conference in 2017. Finally, the market of virtual assistant is rapidly increasing to in-car assistant, in-home assistant, and more. Rafiq wants to capitalize on these trends and make the virtual assistant technology available to the Arabic-speaking world. Thank you very much.
Is it working? Here, this is working. There you go.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's say you win the prize. How would you use it to improve your project?
I'm sorry?
Let's say you win the prize.
Okay.
What will you do to improve your project?
So we have to do many improvements with our machine learning as we are currently getting our user data. So we're going to train a model of machine learning. So we need a specialist to do this, this part of the application. Actually, it will help us also make more features than those 11 actions that can be done. It will make the application able to respond to the user. Second thing is it will allow us to expand and grow outside Egypt, as we need to know more about every accent and every word can be said in different Arabic countries. Also, we are going to use it as to market our application. Yes.
Which are your next target markets after Egypt?
The Gulf, here, maybe UAE.
How many different dialects are there in Egypt?
There are many different dialects. Maybe you have one in the north and one in the south and one in Cairo.
So specifically, what do you need to do to customize something for a particular dialect?
Right now, we need to feed those different accents to the keywords. Rafiq is now working as it has keywords in the background on the web, and it compares what the user says and it identifies the keyword and then tries to understand what the user said. So to be dealing with many accents, we need to provide many keywords for now. Okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Have you tried using Rafiq in home appliances or automotive? I'm just curious.
Yes, actually this is our next steps. After proving ourselves that we are solid and can provide this on Android and it's usable, our next steps is to cover many platforms like Google Home or something like that. But currently in this stage we are focused now to provide it in Android platform. But we didn't try this.
Thank you.
But I want to add something that we are going to have our own libraries. So it's going to change only the platform, but we have the training set and the algorithms working well.
I know that you do have market diversification plans, but was this idea tested with markets outside Egypt, and is there a demand for it? And do you have any sort of agreement signed which guarantees that they would be using this application in future?
Okay, so regarding the market demand, I said that we have organic downloads 1,700 without doing any market campaigns in Egypt. We are not focused in Egypt, by the way. So we have 1,700. Actually, about 320 of them is still using Rafiq till this day. And regarding our contracts with other partners, we are in a partnership with Souq as an affiliate partner. So this doesn't require a signing or some legal paper, I think. But with Karim, we got access through the integration manager there. And he gave us access to the API, but we still didn't sign a contract. But we can order a Karim right now through Rafiq. And we are planning, if we get more rides, we can ask them later for commission or some sort of this. Okay.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank
Put
you
your hands
very
together,
much.
guys. So, this is it for our seeds, for our seed teams. Now we're going to work with our scale-ups. And I want you to introduce you to the new company called Al Rawi. Put your hands together, guys.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim and I present to you Al Rawi. March 17th is my rebirth day. And rebirth day it is that I celebrate every year for the past 5 years. I quit smoking thanks to a book called The Easy Way to Quit Smoking for Alan Kerr. Books have always been good to me. They've helped me grow. Books are good to us. We want to learn and grow. It's a human instinct. But we don't read anymore as much as we want to. 80% of the people we have surveyed think that they want to read more, but they don't have the time. They want us to sell them time, and time we will sell them. We want to offer them a way to use lost time in transit to listen to books. So we're making the process interactive, we're making it accessible, and we're making it dynamic, so people can listen to books while they are on the move. You can read you have about 1.7 hours a day, which you could use to listen to one book a day if I summarize it to you in the nice way. That's a lot of knowledge that you could use. We're targeting people who are busy, working professionals, people who are on the move, youth, who are growing up now to new technology and want a new way so they can read books, and people with the special needs who cannot read. So we're giving them that gift of reading. So we asked people, would you try audiobooks in Arabic? And most of the people didn't try it, and most of the people want to try it. You know, the market for books in the Arab world is $1 billion. We estimate the market for audiobooks to be around $70 million, which is a good place for us to start, given that there are only few people who, most of them are just entering the market. But we want to position ourselves as the leader in this quadrant where we're offering bestsellers in Arabic, which are not provided before. They're provided by a few companies, but not in audio format. And we're the only ones that are providing it in audio format in unlimited fashion the way we want to. So we want to make it innovative. So we made our app, Arawi, very rich of functionality. We've added a lot of functionalities that make it easy for people to track their progress and all of that. And we've provided best summaries. And to secure our position in the market, we've signed an exclusive agreement for 5 years with Idara and with Qandil, who's been doing these summaries for a long time. Now we're taking them and making them in audio. So we have access to 700 plus bestseller summaries of the books from the world in Arabic. We provide for people multiple ways to buy it, either through the app or through subscriptions, unlimited, or through gift cards. We are providing these gift cards throughout online stores now. We've just signing with multiple stores in Bahrain. We're talking to Jarir, and we're talking to corporates to sell it to their companies. We've just signed a deal with a corporate for 1,000 subscriptions. Our cost is variable. About 53% of our revenues go back to our studios, to our publishers and narrators, so we can sustain ourselves, and they make an extra revenue. So our network is actually benefiting from our product as well. Behind this project, the three musketeers, myself, Hala Suleiman, and Amira, we're a truly strengths-based team. We bring in different experiences. I work in strategy, I work in technology, I work in research. Hala's in marketing, Amira's in operations and finance. So we're really complementing each other. So we've progressed a lot, and we've seen a lot of interest in the product. But behind these numbers, you've seen a lot of these graphs, right? There is 29% of people who use our product think it changed their lives. Think about that. That's what we're here for. That's a lot of people who we've changed lives. And this is why we've recently won the Mohammed bin Rashid Global Award for the best startup in the Middle East. We're here asking for you to give us the chance to grow to 10,000 books by 2021. Thank you.
We really need to sort out these mics.
It's not working.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Thank you, guys. So to the
very impressive. The previous company set up as a problem statement the problem that there were too many Arabic dialects, and therefore you had substantial scaling problems. So how do you deal with the dialectical problem in Arabic?
Thank you. And we actually trying to promote the actual Arabic, which most of the books are written in the kind of Shakespearean Arabic anyway. So I don't think we have that problem. We're actually trying to promote the real good Arabic.
What are the barriers to entry to stop someone just copying what you're doing?
I think there are many entrants. There's one in Qatar, one in here, one in there, but most of them are focusing on the type of books. We're focusing on self-development, entrepreneurship, happiness, things that are developmental, and we are focusing on English books translated and into summaries. Again, the problem is time. So I don't want to give you 7 hours to read. I want to give you 40 minutes or 15 minutes.
Okay. How many numbers of book you have and number of clients?
Thank you.
The second question, what is the challenges you face to reach to everybody? And how do you solve it also?
Thank you. So many good questions you're asking me. So we started in June last year. We've finished 200 books so far, and we're growing to 600 books inshallah by end of this year. We aim to finish 10,000 books by 2021. We have about 13,000 registered users, of which about 400 or something paying users. Did I miss any of your questions?
Challenges you face.
The biggest challenge is our target market, the cost to reach to it is high. So the marketing strategy is really important for us to use influencers and to reach the right target market. This is our biggest challenge currently.
Hi, thank you. Have you thought of reaching out to NGOs or societies to target children or students with special needs using Arawi?
Can you repeat the first part of your, have we reached to?
No, have you thought of partnering with NGO societies to use Arawi for people who have special needs?
Thank you. We've been participating in a lot of book exhibitions. We participated in Jeddah and Riyadh. We're participating in Riyadh. We've participated in Sharjah. And we've been discussing with many NGOs and people who cater to special needs and to kids. And we've actually just added over 40 books for kids. So there are discussions. They want more variety. And that's actually a second challenge that we have, is that people love what we do. We have about 600 people telling us 600 life-changing experiences. You know what they're asking us for? More variety. Give us more. Give us more books. 200 isn't enough. So the people with the kids, they want more variety for more ages. So we're working on that. And once we have enough, I think that's time for us to really have bigger.
First and foremost, I would like to tell you that I'm very proud that Rawi is a Bahraini baby, as Hala mentioned in the panel. However, and specifically, this is a unique concept for a country that still needs to develop the maturity of reading. However, there was a recent UN survey that said that an average Arab in the Middle East reads only 4 to 6 pages per year, not per month, per year. That was a 2016 survey. My question to you is, what do you think inhibits them from reading? And do you think this is why audio visual books are being introduced? Do you think this is a solution to address that? And my second question is, do you purchase the broadcasting rights for the foreign books that you translate?
Okay, so for the first question, I think there is a bigger cultural challenge that we have that people don't read. There is a complex set of cultural issues that we have. Because the set of people who actually read is smaller than the bigger. So when you get an average like that, it's spread across people. But there are people who really read more than average. There is a movement, including from UAE, from different countries, to push for reading, like Tahaddi al-Qira'a. And this is massive. You're having a lot of children now, millions of books being read every year by new generations. So we're setting the stage for the future. I don't think about now. I can't change someone who's 40 years old who doesn't read. I can't do anything about it. I can be prepared for in 10 years, the people who are students in classes right now, they want books. So that's how I look at it. It's a future thing. I'm not going to look into the past and investigate into that. Your second question is about the rights?
Yes. Do you purchase the broadcasting rights for the books that you translate?
We work with publishing houses, and we work with companies that have done that. Like Mu'assasat Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Idara.com, they've already done that. And we take the rights from them. And we also reach directly to publishers.
Hello? All right, I gotta cut you off, guys. Thank you very much. Al-Rawi, guys. So now, last but not least, very good guy, very, very smart guy, Hussein from Integrab. Put your hands together, guys.
The slides are on. Hello. Can I get my slides up there, please? Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Hussein, and I'm from Integrab. And every time I do any form of shopping, I end up looking like this guy. And don't get me wrong, I do get upset, but it's not because of the amount of money I'm spending when I do shopping. It's actually because of the amount of time I'm losing when I do shopping, especially when it's online. Why does it irritate me more when it's online? It's simply because that online is designed to make things easier, but it's not the case. I always find myself looking through for videos, unboxings, social media posts, blog posts, asking friends. And that's after 3 days, I go and I build the confidence and I go and actually go to Amazon and try to find the best seller, best review, best price. And that takes me almost an hour until I actually check out. That's basically too much time. 3 days and an hour is too much time. That is exactly why we made Integrab. Integrab basically curates millions of products and all of its related data and basically gives you access to a price comparison tool, So assume you're looking for an Apple Watch. You search for an Apple Watch, you immediately find the price, a price comparison. You swipe to the right, you get access to videos, social media posts, testimonials, snippets, news, books, anything that you can find that will allow you to make a better decision quicker. We actually tested it. It takes almost 15 minutes as opposed to 3 days and 1 hour. And yet we found a much bigger problem which actually caters to the sellers while we were doing the initial one. And that problem is basically, I don't know whether you guys know the statistic, it's almost 18 million stores, online stores available today across the globe. And of which only 110,000 are making notable money. So that's like 0.6%. Whatever happened to the other 17 million? We embarked on a small journey, my co-founder and I, and we found that there are two reasons that most of these guys aren't able to actually make that much money. And those two reasons are, one, they aren't able to scale by placing themselves in terms of exposure. They don't know where to place themselves in terms of how to sell their products. And two, they're not able to get access to data. And if they do get access to raw data, it's really difficult to read it. It's expensive to hire a data scientist. Heat maps and bar graphs are actually much more difficult for someone that has a Shopify account, for example, and hasn't been in the startup field for long. That's why we developed InnoGrab's seller module. Now, what does it do? Two things. It acts as an online deal assistant that gives you scalability. So it takes your products and you just upload them to our platform, dispatches it to almost 500 channels across the web that will sell on your behalf. And number two, it gives you access to global trend data, and it's not just heat maps, as you can see here. It's actually much more personalized. So you get access to a bot that recommends and tells you exactly what you need to be doing and when you need to be doing it. For example, if you're looking for, if you're selling watches, and it tells you, hey, we see that you're selling watches, and we know that watches are being sold tremendously in a country like Malaysia. So why don't you capitalize and promote yourself over there? It becomes much more personalized. So right then we were able to distinguish that we have two customer segments. Number one, 17 million online stores that need scale. And number two, any online shopper like me that spends almost an hour shopping online. The market is tremendous. E-commerce is 10 trillion in 2018, $10 trillion market. And you're looking at 7.7 being for B2B and 2.3 for B2C. Jumping straight into competition, everybody probably places themselves on the top right-hand corner of their competition matrix. But why do we do that? It's because we believe we are one of the very few online platforms that offers very personalized actual recommendations based on actual global trend data that we get from our users and across the web as well. We launched in April in 2017. We didn't see a lot of traction, but we did a whole lot of experimenting. And by October of 2017, we were able to actually relaunch a redesigned version of it. And then we saw amazing traction. We saw around 19% week-over-week growth. Today, we can say we're knocking the door on 100,000 installs. We have almost 20,000 plus active devices and 35 plus connected users, that are, pilot stores that are actually connected with our platform. And we can say that we increased sales performance by 7% for those users, or pilot stores. And we are saving over 900,000 hours a week for our users in terms of shopping online. And we're responsible for over 1 million transactions that happened through InnoGrab's platform. So our model is really simple, how we make our money. Subscription, 3-tiered, anywhere between $50 and $300. And we are planning to add advertisement and commission structure as well in the near future. We are anticipating to become a 6 million revenue generating business by the end of 2019. And how we're going to do that with the help of the following team. Myself and my co-founder, Mustafa, both have experience in startup. I've been involved in 2 exits with 11 years of investment. Mustafa has a PhD in computer science and has 15 years of experience in information technology. We have an artistic team that supports and makes things happen, all internationally based. My name is Hussein Haji. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hussein.
Thank you for the presentation. I know it's a very generic question, but I feel it's very much relevant here. I mean, you are competing with lots of best deal search engines available. Mm-hmm. I would like to know what makes you stand out. What is your strategy to beat the existing search engine apps, the available search engine apps?
First off, no question is a generic question. Every question is a new one. So, and thank you very much for that question. It actually makes sense. We do offer 2 things. We are a B2B2C platform. So in a sense, we do have that best deal search engine and the price comparison tool in the beginning, which you saw. But the actual driver and the value add for us is when sellers connect with us. online sellers that need to basically scale. That's the value add, that's the differentiator. We like to think of the platform that gives the price comparison as a tool to increase our traction to basically get the attention of the sellers to connect with us in the beginning and upload their products in our personal market space as well. I hope that answered your question. Thank you very much. Thanks.
No other questions? Okay, that brings us to the end. Thank you so much, Hussein. That brings us to the end of both rounds. We'll take about 10 minutes to tally the points, and then we will announce the winners. So hang in there.
I did a 3, do 1. I didn't do the math. You did 3 or
Business friendly is not just a slogan. It's actually an aspiration that we challenge ourselves to live up to every single day.
You can find people from all over the world. It's a very open-minded country in the sense that everyone coexists very peacefully and amazingly here. It's just a really beautiful place to be.
I think what makes us unique is that if you arrive into Bahrain, you are likely to be driven in your taxi by a Bahraini, to be checked into your hotel by a Bahraini. You'll have an interaction with the people of the country.
We have a very high level of education in Bahrain. This has created a tech-savvy population that are always demanding for the latest technology.
Any young Bahraini woman who is looking to draw inspiration can just look all around her. There are women on boards, women who run family businesses, who are ambassadors, ministers.
We don't believe in zones for our businesses. We don't create a separate zone where that business can have certain privileges and ownership rights. We consider our whole country a zone.
Geographical position belonging to the GCC are very strong advantages.
In the late 60s, we took on upon ourselves to diversify from oil, so we started our diversification program more than 40 years ago, and today we continue to do that.
Bahrain is very focused on developing a pipeline of infrastructure investment.
In total, we have about $32 billion worth of investments. We'll see projects materialize within the next 3 to 4 years.
It's part of a longer strategy, and certainly it will provide work. It will provide also opportunities for foreign companies to work downstream, to be part of construction.
We expect to have a large multiplier effect of the money being spent on these projects filter through the economy.
You only have to ask the investors that have been established here how much they've grown, how much they've enjoyed their presence here, and how lucrative it has been for them.
The one thing that I would choose above anything else in Bahrain is the people. They're my family.
What you will remember in any visit is the people you've met, the impressions they left you with. And I think you'll find in Bahrain that friendly, approachable population that you'll make friends with, you'll remember, and they'll stick in your mind with you.
think historically, islands and kind of coastal areas tend to be more open, and so it probably is in our blood.
During its long history, Bahrain has always been a crossroad and a meeting place for traders. That interaction with a lot of ancient societies in the past have made now Bahrain this very special place of meeting.
The tolerance with all kind of religions, all kind of nationalities, that's make it very rich.
You can find people from all over the world. It's a very open-minded country in the sense that everyone coexists very peacefully and amazingly here. It's just a really beautiful place to be.
There's a lot of artists in Bahrain. There is young generation, there is also older generation.
I think what makes us unique is that if you arrive into Bahrain, you are likely to be driven in your taxi by a Bahraini, to be checked into your hotel by a Bahraini. You'll have an interaction with the people of the country. Business friendly is not just a slogan. It's actually an aspiration that we challenge ourselves to live up to every single day.
Geographical position belonging to the GCC are very strong advantages.
We don't believe in zones for our businesses. We don't create a separate zone where that business can have certain privileges and ownership rights. We consider our whole country a zone.
In the late 60s, we took upon ourselves to diversify from oil, so we started our diversification program more than 40 years ago, and today we continue to do that.
Any young Bahraini woman who is looking to draw inspiration can just look all around her. There are women on boards, women who run family businesses, who are ambassadors, ministers.
We have a very high level of education in Bahrain. This has created a tech-savvy population that are always demanding for the latest technology.
I think the food festival is a very interesting event because it helps you see how the youth in Bahrain is becoming entrepreneurs. But then when you look, for example, at the Spring of Culture, it's a great opportunity to enjoy local and regional talent.
Bahrain is very focused on developing a pipeline of infrastructure investment.
In total, we have about $32 billion worth of investments. We'll see projects materialize within the next 3 to 4 years.
It's part of a longer strategy, and certainly it will provide work. It will provide also opportunities for foreign companies to work downstream, to be part of construction.
We expect to have a large multiplier effect of the money being spent on these projects to filter through the economy.
You only have to ask the investors that have been established here how much they've grown, how much they've enjoyed their presence here, and how lucrative it has been for them.
The one thing that I would choose above anything else in Bahrain is the people. They're my family.
The points, super exciting. Can we please get...
Just 1 second. Actually, first, can we please give a round of applause for all the guys who pitched? It's not easy for these guys to get on stage, They get out there, they put their hearts on the table, and they really did their best. So thank you very much to all the startups, not just the ones who pitched today, also the guys who came from Luxembourg in the back. They came a very far way. To all the startups that pitched, guys, put your hands together for them, please. And then we gotta thank the EDB, we gotta thank the folks from Unbound, we gotta thank Temkeen for helping us make this event happen and supporting us in so many ways.
And if we can please invite Pakiza from EDB to join us on the stage, and Safa from Temkeen to also join us on the stage, and Daniel from Unbound. Is Daniel around?
He's right there.
Come on up. Do we have all the startups here? I'm trying to find them in the audience. Yeah, we just need to wait. I think a couple of guys went to grab something. Thank you, Pakiza. Temkeen is always super supportive. For those of you, EDB, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Startup Bahrain platform, it's really an amazing initiative that was spearheaded by the EDB and then tossed to the startup community to really help create a long-lasting, sustainable startup ecosystem. And Pakiza has played an instrumental role really in bringing the community together. So please, a huge round of applause for Pakiza. Temkeen, obviously the engine behind the private sector and the startup community, without which none of us would have the support and the backing to really build businesses, scale them, and sustain them. So Temkeen, always thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, Danny, who has been all over the world and chose to be with us here in Bahrain and push us along. Thank you very much.
We're going to bring the checks up, or do you want? Shall we?
So, we're going to start with the seed stage folks who came in, and they did a really good job. They came all the way from Egypt, and the winner of the grand prize on the seed stage for $25,000. Put your hands together for Widebot.
Congratulations! I saw Widebot pitch about 3 times in a couple of different places, and it's exciting to see them win. Congratulations, Amar. Congratulations to Widebot.
Thank you. Now, don't forget, though, we have a runner-up. He did a fantastic job. Put your hands together for Rafiq.
Trying to avoid a scandal.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
We'd also like to take this opportunity to convince our Egyptian friends to set up shop here in Bahrain while you're at it. We'd be happy to help you do that. So for our scale-ups,
and it was very close, guys.
It was you have
really
no
close.
idea. It was super, super close. In first place for $25,000 US is Inagrab. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations, Inagrab. Congratulations. And as a runner-up, obviously, equally impressive, El Rawi. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
ETP and Unbound.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Arawi. We'd also like to thank our judges, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Tourism, Microsoft, Batelco, Unbound, and Temkeen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Do you...
Should bring all the prize winners
Yeah.
on the stage
And
to have a group picture. So whilst we're doing the pictures, I think on behalf of Danny and I from Unbound and the All Unbound team, all of us would like to thank you all for being a part of this. And thank you all. All right, where's all the winners to come?
I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our teams at Brink and C5. Susie, Bryony, Hala, Sarah. Guys, come up, Mena, come up.
Thank you again to Microsoft, to Zane, to Amex, and to all of our exhibitors. And right, let's get your Tamkeen picture done. Unbounders will do a picture in a minute. Come on, Mark. Mark. Thank you again. See you again. Kitty. Khalas. That's good. Right, good. Can we do, you put the unbounds? Yeah. Can you take my name off it or keep it on? We have the unbound low. That's it, that's my closing remark, I'm done. Let me get back to you. Come. Sorry? Let me get back to you. Right, let's bring all the unbounders up. Where are they? Where? Photo. Where's Matty? Charles? Matty. Jose? Kitty? Camille? Ariana? Nene? Yeah, we'll do the traditional. You're doing a boomerang? Yeah, do the boomerang. Have Danny Roy. Kyle,
my rhymes are breastfed, no artificial nipples. I flip the real skills. I thought I told you once I kicked the lyrical windmills and backspin. Benedict strictly for my benefit. I step on toes when I flow. Don't get offended. Come and get with it. Comprehend it when I kick it. I represent the real from the beginning.
think historically, islands and, kind of coastal areas tend to be more open, and so it probably is in our blood.
During its long history, Bahrain has always been a crossroad and a meeting place for traders. That interaction with a lot of ancient societies in the past have made now Bahrain this very special place of meeting.
The tolerance with all kind of religions, all kind of nationalities, that's make it very rich.
You can find people from all over the world. It's a very open-minded country in the sense that everyone coexists very peacefully and amazingly here. It's just a really beautiful place to be.
There's a lot of artists in Bahrain. There is young generation, and there is also older generation.
I think what makes us unique is that if you arrive into Bahrain, you are likely to be driven in your taxi by a Bahraini, to be checked into your hotel by a Bahraini. You'll have an interaction with the people of the country. Business friendly is not just a slogan. It's actually an aspiration that we challenge ourselves to live up to every single day.
Geographical position belonging to the GCC are very strong advantages.
We don't believe in zones for our businesses. We don't create a separate zone where that business can have certain privileges and ownership rights. We consider our whole country a zone.
In the late 60s, we took upon ourselves to diversify from oil, so we started our diversification program more than 40 years ago, and today we continue to do that.
Any young Bahraini woman who is looking to draw inspiration can just look all around her. There are women on boards, women who run family businesses, who are ambassadors, ministers.
We have a very high level of education in Bahrain. This has created a tech-savvy population that are always demanding for the latest technology.
I think the food festival is a very interesting event because it helps you see how the youth in Bahrain is becoming entrepreneurs. But then when you look, for example, at the Spring of Culture, it's a great opportunity to enjoy local and regional talent.
Bahrain is very focused on developing a pipeline of infrastructure investment.
In total, we have about $32 billion worth of investments. We see projects materialize within the next 3 to 4 years.
It's part of a longer strategy, and certainly it will provide work. It will provide also opportunities for foreign companies to work downstream, to be part of construction.
We expect to have a large multiplier effect of the money being spent on these projects filter through the economy.
You only have to ask the investors that have been established here how much they've grown, how much they've enjoyed their presence here, and how lucrative it has been for them.
The one thing that I would choose above anything else in Bahrain is the people. They're my family.
What you will remember in any visit is the people you've met, the impressions they left you with. And I think you'll find in Bahrain that friendly, approachable population that you'll make friends with, you'll remember and that'll stick in your mind.
I think historically, islands and, kind of coastal areas tend to be more open, and so it probably is in our blood.
During its long history, Bahrain has always been a crossroad and a meeting place for traders. That interaction with a lot of ancient societies in the past have made now Bahrain this very special place of meeting.
The tolerance with all kind of religions, all kind of nationalities, that's make it very rich.
You can find people from all over the world. It's a very open-minded country in the sense that everyone coexists very peacefully and amazingly here. It's just a really beautiful place to be.
There's a lot of artists in Bahrain. There is young generation, and there is also older generation.
I think what makes us unique is that if you arrive into Bahrain, you are likely to be driven in your taxi by a Bahraini, to be checked into your hotel by a Bahraini. You'll have an interaction with the people of the country. Business friendly is not just a slogan. It's actually an aspiration that we challenge ourselves to live up to every single day.
Geographical position belonging to the GCC are very strong advantages.
We don't believe in zones for our businesses. We don't create a separate zone where that business can have certain privileges and ownership rights. We consider our whole country a zone.
In the late 60s, we took upon ourselves to diversify from oil, so we started our diversification program more than 40 years ago, and today we continue to do that.
Any young Bahraini woman who is looking to draw inspiration can just look all around her. There are women on boards, women who run family businesses, who are ambassadors, ministers.
We have a very high level of education in Bahrain. This has created a tech-savvy population that are always demanding for the latest technology.
I think the food festival is a very interesting event because it helps you see how the youth in Bahrain is becoming entrepreneurs. But then when you look, for example, at the Spring of Culture, it creates opportunity to enjoy local and regional talent.
Bahrain is very focused on developing a pipeline of infrastructure investment.
In total, we have about $32 billion worth of investments. We see projects materialize within the next 3 to 4 years.
It's part of a longer strategy, and certainly it will provide work. It will provide also opportunities for foreign companies to work downstream, to be part of construction.
We expect to have a large multiplier effect of the money being spent on these projects filter through the economy.
You only have to ask the investors that have been established here how much they've grown, how much they've enjoyed their presence here, and how lucrative it has been for them.
The one thing that I would choose above anything else in Bahrain is the people. They're my family.
What you will remember in any visit is the people you've met, the impressions they left you with. And I think you'll find in Bahrain that friendly, approachable population that you'll make friends with, you'll remember and that'll stick in your mind.
Historically, islands and, kind of coastal areas tend to be more open, and so it probably is in our blood.
During its long history, Bahrain has always been a crossroad and a meeting place for traders. That interaction with a lot of ancient societies in the past have made now Bahrain this very special place of meeting.
The tolerance with all kind of religions, all kind of nationalities, that's make it very rich.
You can find people from all over the world. It's a very open-minded country in the sense that everyone coexists very peacefully and amazingly here. It's just a really beautiful place to be.
There's a lot of artists in Bahrain. There is young generation, and there is also older generation.
I think what makes us unique is that if you arrive into Bahrain, you are likely to be driven in your taxi by a Bahraini, to be checked into your hotel by a Bahraini. You'll have an interaction with the people of the country. Business friendly is not just a slogan. It's actually an aspiration that we challenge ourselves to live up to every single day.
Geographical position belonging to the GCC are very strong advantages.
We don't believe in zones for our businesses. We don't create a separate zone where that business can have certain privileges and ownership rights. We consider our whole country a zone.
In the late 60s, we took on upon ourselves to diversify from oil, so we started our diversification program more than 40 years ago, and today we continue to do that.
Any young Bahraini woman who is looking to draw inspiration can just look all around her. There are women on boards, women who run family businesses, who are ambassadors, ministers.
We have a very high level of education in Bahrain. This has created a tech-savvy population that are always demanding for the latest technology.
I see there's a lot of emphasis over the years about making your social lives bigger and better. I think the food festival is a very interesting event because it helps you see how the youth in Bahrain is becoming entrepreneurs. But then when you look, for example, at the Spring of Culture, it's a great opportunity to enjoy local and regional talent.
Bahrain is very focused on developing a pipeline of infrastructure investment.
In total, we have about $32 billion worth of investments. We'll see projects materialize within the next 3 to 4 years.